My name is Scott Churchson, and alongside me is Mr. Obie Spencer, and welcome to Stream Punk Sports Sunday Night Football reaction, rambling, and commentary as the Kansas City Chiefs at 5-4 head to Las Vegas and take on Derek Carr and the 5-3 Raiders. This is going to be an interesting pickup right here because of the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are running on a 2-game win streak, although a bad couple of games, but wins are wins just the same. They can go a long way to prove that the first half of their season has been a fluke, but it's going to require them going through Derek Carr, Darren Waller, and the rest of the Las Vegas Raiders and their 5-3 record. Obie, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
No complaints.
So, look, first of all, very excited. I got my camo Las Vegas hat for Veterans Day weekend. Anyone who doesn't know, Las Vegas is the Disney World that's rated R. So, big fan of the city, not picking them to win today. And the thing you did not mention yet is the Chargers went ahead and lost today. So, the winner of this game is in first place in this exciting division where the worst team is 4-5 because Denver threw up a clunker to the Eagles. You have been the stalwart believer in Mr. Mahomes.
I believe. I can't help it.
You've never given up on him. One thing I got to give you credit for is, you refuse to buy having a bad year. An off year for Mahomes is a great year for anybody else. Not anybody else, but many other quarterbacks. And so you've kept that spark just a little bit alive for me. And as I said today on NFL Insiders, this is, if they win, the resurrection for Super Bowl contender is complete, right? Mm-hmm. And this reminds you, if they win this game, of so many of those Patriot teams that would start off 2-4, 6-6, and then the second half of the season comes and they know who they are and they're ready to play the way they're ready to play. The only thing that can get in their way, in my mind, is Big Red. Mm-hmm. The game plan, if you look at it on paper, says to run the ball. This guy doesn't like to run the ball. So what can happen here is that they might blow it by not trying to run the ball. Now, they also play a 3-high zone, which should allow for some deeper passing, which is what Mahomes wants to do. He's been frustrated by some of the defenses that forced him to throw short. So if he can get around that, because he can throw deep now, it's exciting. I also want to introduce to our audience Josh here. He may or may not talk to us. He may someday have his own box. I'm hoping that we bring him on board. My man knows his football, and wait till we start doing basketball games. We got Josh on board. We're going to be very excited. With that, I give it back to you, Scott.
Right now, Josh is basically sitting there watching us, looking at us, and being like, do I really want to be part of this? Or is it one of those things where it's like, yeah, I got to go. My cat has diarrhea and I left the oven on. Yeah, I got to go. Bye. Yeah. So in this case, appreciate you, bud. He's going to be handling some of the stuff behind the scenes for us, which I'm more than grateful for. Believe me, that's a huge addition. What we're going to be running with today is a little different if you've seen it on stream and Facebook and the rest. We're going to be running with a small box down at the bottom in this case. We are not going to be doing the stats so much because some of the feedback that we've gotten has been the fact that a lot of the stuff doesn't even show up. And for the most part, people that are talking to us aren't even looking anyway. A lot of it ends up being questions about, players, what's going on with certain things, their own opinions. And it really doesn't have a lot to do necessarily with the stats. So we're going to try something a little different today, see if it works. And if it doesn't, we'll go do something else. So we have a bunch to review also. Throughout the show today, we're going to be talking about what happened today. Dallas had a monster win. Mike White had a tragic loss, I guess is a nice way of putting it. Fell to earth, I guess is the way that basically thing. The Cinderella team struck midnight there. The Cinderella player struck midnight. But we had a lot of stuff to go into there. Talk some Green Bay. Indianapolis had the win. I mean, there's a lot to go into in this case. But I guess we'll start this off, and I wanted to get your take. Buffalo had a rough start, had a rough game last week. Scored only 6 points. Didn't have that problem today.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah, they went ahead and look, I don't want to talk about them separately. I want to talk about the Cowboys and the Bills together. Okay. Because I think that just two teams threw up stinkers last week. Oh my God, the world's ending. What's happening? Oh no, oh no. And they both came back and to use the boxing parlance, they answered the bell. They both came back and said, excuse us. We are NFL Super Bowl contenders. We threw up a clunker. Do you see a super dominant team out there? No, we don't either. Maybe we're that team to beat. So they both did it marvelously, and I think that should be noted. Before we talk about any other games, though, I do want to remind everybody, if you're watching us here on Twitch, go ahead, subscribe. Otherwise, you can find us on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, all at Steampunk Sports.
All good stuff.
Except for Twitter, which is Steampunk Sport. Save an S. You can only get 15 characters. So yeah, those are this week's big stories. I think the other big story, and I said it before, is look. I love Baker, and I said my overreaction to Week 1 of the NFL is that Baker Mayfield is for real. Certainly wasn't overreaction, but Baker Mayfield is this. And the fact that he was this last week, and everyone tried to say it was about OBJ not being there, I didn't buy that it wasn't OBJ, and it certainly doesn't look like it was not just because of OBJ. It's because Baker Mayfield cannot. Baker Mayfield would be better if he was about 75% of his max 100% of the time. I sound like Anchorman there. But
he's steady and whatever it is.
Yeah. His 100% best is as good as anybody, but he's not there enough, and then he falls down to 25. So just get me a 75 and stay there all the time, and that Cleveland team's going to be a lot better.
Credit to also to Mac Jones, though, had probably the best game he's had so far. 19 for 23, a manageable 198 yards, but also 3 touchdowns as well. That's what you want from your rookie quarterback midway through his first ever season. So they had a lot on every part of the ball there. Team that was up 24-7 at halftime and just kept rolling. And honestly, like you said, I mean, Cleveland was one of those teams that I think people had the belief that Cleveland could be able to contend even for, an AFC championship, with some cases people are talking about that. The issue that exists is the fact that, again, they're unpredictable, and now they're suddenly 5-5. And that's tough. I mean, the thing about Baker is that he set the security code of the entire stadium at 6. But I mean, I've often wondered in this case if with Baker, if it's the distractions like the commercials. He's always doing these commercials for Progressive. You don't typically see a lot of major athletes end up doing commercials like that. And I got to wonder if maybe it's a little bit of a distraction. Just a thought.
So the Browns had a really great season last year, and I think that put all expectations so high with the receiving core that they had. Their defense was above average last year, but I just think Baker is just very, very inconsistent week by week, and you're right. I think it is a little bit of the commercials and the outside distractions to that.
Fanjecture's like, basically, Aaron Rodgers did the discount double check for years while playing well. That is true. Aaron Rodgers, however, his name has actually taken a little bit of a hit in the reputation department in light of the whole issue with COVID and everything that happened there. So you may have a point, but I also think sometimes certain players react differently to certain things. But Aaron Rodgers, I think, was capable of that. I mean, for God's sakes, he, like him or hate him, it's either way, he was able to host Jeopardy for a week. He did pull that off and still maintain the regular, training that he had in general. I don't know. Maybe Baker Mayfield, who is the regular guy for Progressive outside of basically Flo and Dr. Rick. I don't know. Like I said, it's maybe just some people handle certain things better than others. So
I'm hesitant to blame the commercials on the players on him being poorly, because let's be honest, if Manning didn't do commercials, how much worse would the world be? And Brady didn't do commercials, and there was a lot of Manning's doing commercials, and that's what's going on. That's why he's bad. But look, you and I, Scott, we're old enough to remember a certain guy who played for the Chicago Bulls And he did lots of commercials, and it did not stop him from winning 6 championships. I don't know how many MVPs, and still arguably the best player ever to play basketball. We see a lot of successful guys doing it in basketball. Why should football players not be able to do that? Number one. Number two, we like to think those guys are there to play football, and that's what they're doing. They want to play football, and they should always be doing football. But the reality is they're playing football as a means to an end, and that's to feed their families and preferably their families and their children and generational money. And that comes from endorsements. It does not come from playing, so you go ahead. Yes. Yes.
Baker's what? I don't know what she looks like. So,
no.
Yeah, Brady started doing commercials recently. That is true. Yeah, he never really did. Gronk has more of the personality to do commercials than I think Tom Brady does. Gronk also, people may remember that he also smashed a Steve Harvey head on New Year's Eve once because Steve Harvey had an entire Lego head of himself. And you watch the video on YouTube, Gronk just takes this thing, just trashes it right into the ground and throws it does a touchdown end zone dance. I don't know to this day if that was planned or not, but if it was in fact planned, Steve Harvey's reaction and looking pissed was a good acting job. So
yeah, I mean, Gronk is a personality hog. Gronk is the type of guy that if he wasn't playing football, he would still walk in the room and be the absolute center of attention. Good for him. He's the kind of guy who, if he never played football, would have gone the way of The Rock probably. Like you could imagine him having just started off and just right into WWE, given his size, his athleticism, and just being an amazing heel, like just right off the bat. And Brady does lack personality. I mean, Manning is I think Manning is a very gifted man, not just because he can play football, but because he does. He does go and he hits up Saturday Night Live and he's funny. He does the commercials and he's funny. And you can almost imagine
I gotta go. He's in order. Go ahead.
Being the next actor.
Here's what I'm going to say. I would rather see Gronk in those commercials than the Peyton Manning ones that he has with Brad Paisley. I hate those commercials so much. What is it, Nationwide? I think he does. I would rather watch the Gronk. If you had to basically put a gun to my head, I would be like, I'd rather have the Gronk commercials, till the end of time before those Peyton Manning ones. I really hate them. But yes, I would. Yeah, Gronk is a guy you'd be able to drink beer with and not even talk football. I think just in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want to drink 12 beers with Gronk because he will drink me under the table in my best days. But he wouldn't drink Ed Phillip under the table, just for the record. But I will say this about a complete left turn here on the Brad Paisley commercials. When you were growing up in school, you used to hear about how the English Army wore really tall hats to make them look taller.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, who are you fooling with a tall hat? And then you would put, then you go and you see Paisley with his tall cowboy hat next to Manning, and you're like, the really tall hat works because I think Paisley's like 5'9", and Manning's 6'4", 6'5". But in those commercials, that hat has that effect of, oh, he's not that much smaller. So, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think Eli does have a better personality than Brady. Eli, it's weird because with Eli, he had to grow up in the shadow of not one, but two, tentatively all-pro quarterbacks in Cooper and also in Peyton. And, it's funny. You look at Eli Manning and you don't realize that this guy is also 6'5". He looks like he's about 5'9", 5'10", maybe 5'11". No, dude, he's a half a foot taller than I am, but he doesn't look it. Same with Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is like 6'3" or 6'5" himself. Mm-hmm. These guys don't look that tall. And in spite of that, Eli had to kind of work in a different persona, I think, a little bit. And I like I do like ESPN2, and I like what they do, with having the two of them do that, similar to what we do, just far better at it. And I'd like to see more of that if I can. I sometimes after a while you start to get a little burned out on the announcers and everybody going on. And it's not coincidental that some of the best shows that we end up having are the ones where people end up griping about the whoever's announcing the game because they don't like them. Joe Buck.
Yeah.
Sorry, a little cough there. Yeah, sorry, had dinner not too long ago. I got a little upset stomach when I said Joe Buck there. But yeah, there's an analysis I've never heard. That's why people should be watching this live stream. Thank you, Mr. Ed Phillip. I'll send you. Let me know the address to send that check to. Very obvious plug.
So look. The one thing I don't like about the Manning show is that they're doing what we're doing with two guys who really know the game of football better than 99.9% of the NFL, of the NFL, not just the regular world, and they have access to some of the great guests. We are fortunate enough to have Josh, but they get Josh Allen.
We'll make it work. So,
but there's also a stigma with that. Whoever's on the Manning show ends up losing the next week. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah, it's like a Madden curse, but a Manning curse instead.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Here's what I'm going to say. Joe Buck, I think, is better at football than he is at baseball. I think part of it is the fact that football has a faster pace. Baseball is so much more sluggish. But as a person, he's probably a really good guy. But I think part of the reason why baseball is losing in popularity right now is because of the fact that he is, first and foremost, for the last 20 years, been the broadcaster for their biggest games. And because a lot of people, myself included, would rather watch a Spanish broadcast or radio broadcast, it's hurting the brand of baseball. But yeah, I think you're right. He probably has embraced the hate. He's just accepted it for what it is and realizes it's probably never going to change. He's never going to change. But he's also worth, probably $80-90 billion at this point.
So here I am saying that they're not going to run the ball, and on the very first play, they go ahead and they run the ball. So here's what I know. This is what I get for trying to predict Big Red after years of watching him here in the Philly area.
Well, yeah, you and your history with Andy Reid there, but
yeah, we have feelings.
Yeah. Well, there was a viral video that went around pretty well in Philadelphia for a while called "We Will Never Ever Ever Win with Andy," and it's a parody of a Taylor Swift song, and it really took off in the Philly sports area. Unfortunately, I knew the guys that actually created this thing, and they got a lot of accolades from it because for Philly Nation, Andy Reid frustrated the living hell out of you guys so much.
Yeah, I mean, I like Andy Reid over a 16, now 17 game schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But in one game, he can blow it. He doesn't always carry the load in one game.
Yeah, and in this case here, go ahead.
No, go on.
No, I was going to say, but in this case, they like you said, they have a chance to be able to actually take over sole possession of first place with a win today. It's not going to be easy, but a bad win is still a win anyway. And they've had two in a row. They've gotten lucky in a few cases, with the Giants, the offside penalty instead of the turnover. And obviously last week with Aaron Rodgers being out due to COVID, whatever your opinion and take on that happens to be, it gave Kansas City 2 wins. They could easily have been 3-6 in this case, in which case this would be unbridled panic mode. But right now they're 5-4. They're a half a game out of first place. And this is the game where they can really say, you know what, we've turned a corner and we're ready. And I think they will do that tonight. I'm usually wrong, though. We have accepted that, typically. But so far, Mahomes is doing okay at the moment.
Do they have rights to that? If that makes sense.
Yeah. He's doing all right, but now he gets stopped. So
and they're promptly punting. Like I said, I believe they'll win, so of course they won't. Tomorrow's game, we are going to. I should mention this right up front. We are going to be back tomorrow. We are going to be talking, in this case, the Rams and all recent acquisitions going alongside the San Francisco 49ers. And it's possible OBJ may be taking some punts, and Von Miller is expected to probably be in the starting lineup. So that's a lot to be excited about if you're in LA Nation.
Yeah, yes. So, but, you shouldn't be so excited about punting.
We've well established at this point that your contempt of puntage.
A punt is a turnover with a fancy name.
It's a long thrown interception, basically. So.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I mean, when the greatest show on turf was the greatest show on turf, and they throw a deep pass for an interception, they'd be like, it's as good as a punt. So
yeah, but a punt looks better on the stats.
Right, it looks better on stats, but how does it work with the actual game? The game, how it rolls out.
But right now we got 2nd and 7. Carr's back. Little screen and almost a first down. So I just, what I really hope for? I really hope that this is not a sluggish game. Every game that we've been doing lately has been sluggish as hell, boring as hell, and it's honestly depressing.
Yes, we've had some boring ones, but this one looks like the actual what's on the line in this game is enough to make the game pop.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that we're okay. We're going to have a good game here just because there's enough on the line.
Yeah. All right. Let me just tweak something real quick. There we go. That'll work. How's that? So that's the best I can do. Yeah. Cool. All right. As always, like I said, you can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on FriendFace, whatever you want to find us on, you will find us on. I'm Scott Schertzen alongside Mr. Obie Spencer, alongside Mr. Josh. I'm sorry, I don't know your name yet. And also JD Walker's going to be popping in probably around the end of the first quarter, beginning of second. So,
well, that's an early call, Fanjexer, on the Raiders there. But I don't think it's like a gutsy call. I mean, I feel like this is a toss-up game, one I'm not sure how I feel about, but definitely a toss-up. Usually I will say and go out on a limb that I'm going to take Kansas City. I'm pretty sure I took Kansas City this morning on NFL Insiders. So I'm going to stick with what I took this morning. But yeah, it's a tough call.
Yeah, you're not. All right, he's like it's not a gutsy call. This is one of those pick'em games that can go either way. But like I said, I just like Kansas City's momentum right now. I think, like I said, this is a big test for them, and they know it. But it's a big difference when you start climbing up the ranks, and that first place is that close.
Josh, what do you like taking this game?
I got the Raiders by 14. I don't see them stopping the offense. The Chiefs defense is one of the worst in the league. It's a hot take, but I can definitely see that, and the odds on that are pretty low. You know what I mean? So
sure.
It's really going to be about the Raiders team keeps falling down, losing pieces, but they haven't lost the pieces that matter so far, right? Like Josh Jacobs is there, Drake is still backing him up, Waller's still playing.
Aguilar's a good, solid 2 receiver.
Yeah. The home field, and like I said, Vegas, the rated R Disneyland. And when I was there before this stadium was done, but it was this gorgeous, like black, like it is. It was just you saw it. You're like, if you knew this much about football, you'd be like, the Raiders play there. Like without even that, you'd be like, that is just it. It's just gorgeous black, beautiful thing. So yeah, this is
quick here. Let me just pop something in a sec.
And if I did say that was a gutsy call, you're right. It's not a gutsy call. I don't think I'm all that gutsy.
Nah, I don't think you're that gutsy with something like that.
No.
Like this is one of those pick'em games that could literally go either way.
But I would have punted. I wouldn't have punted. And I don't know if that was gutsy on 4th and 4, but I wouldn't have punted. And the computer said, go for it. So, me and the computer lined up. These punts, they're going to kill some teams. One of these days.
Yeah, well, 4th and inches, you got to go. You got to do it. There we go. Fix that. There. That'll do. And we'll put that right back there. And we're going to put that down there. And that should do everything. Actually, no, we're going to put one thing back. Put you over there.
Whoop, whoop,
Cool.
whoop.
Yay! So
Making me sick over here.
To Vegas at home field. I can understand that. But you know what? There's a flag on the play right now, but they did tentatively at least stop them. So I'm curious to see what ends up. False start on the offense. Does it repeat fourth down? That was the question. And there is the jump. Yep, there's the flinch. That's all it takes. And ironically enough, that flinch actually saved them the ability to punt the ball. Because if that flinch did not happen, they would have turned that ball over, and Kansas City would have taken the ball at the 49-yard line. So they got lucky with a false start.
Yeah.
And there we go.
Yeah, yes. Although sometimes I think I'm just watching this play unfold. I think the false start in that case led to the defender being able to get into the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion on what happened, because the next guy to come, the false start move, the defender followed into the gap where the guy who was supposed to block him didn't have time to come over because he was still. Makes sense?
Sure. Yes, 100%.
So, but the false start did happen, and they went ahead and punted.
Exactly. I should check. Let me just check out what Devils are doing right now. Devils were winning 1-0, and there's a commercial. Never mind. All right. The life of a never-suffering New Jersey Devils fan. Got to see how that team is doing, though. Got to support the team. But right now, no score at this point. Kind of disappointed by that. Would love to see some scoring because, again, every game that we seem to be doing is sluggish, it's boring, and it's kind of just, we need a win. Well, actually, you know what? I need a win. I need to actually broadcast a good game here.
So I don't know what you were treated to this afternoon on the NFL. But what games did we have?
The Jets game.
Oh, no. Okay, so your game, and they couldn't turn away from the Jets game. No, we had this afternoon, we had the Cowboy game.
And I know we watched the end of the Pittsburgh game. We
started with the Cowboy game, and I don't remember the other game, another blowout. Fortunately, midway through the day, they changed to the Pittsburgh game and the Tampa Bay game. But in the beginning,
Cleveland, New England,
and the Cowboys, and we were watching those games this afternoon, 25-3, 33-3 at halftime. You talk about, maybe 0-0 is boring, but at least it's close, it's tight, and then again, like I said, at least this is a game that matters.
You know what it was? After a while, I figured basically, let me let it run in the background. I started watching One Piece on Hulu. And I figured, you know what? Let me watch a couple episodes of One Piece, and then I'll go back to the game. I'll rewind. I'll watch whatever I need to watch just to get myself familiar with it. But the games were so many blowouts today that I'd lost interest relatively quickly. The only one that actually kind of kept me interested for a little while was really like the Green Bay game. But even then, it wasn't really that exciting anyway. The Packers won at 17-0, so much for Russell Wilson's return. But I was like, all right, let me just, I'll watch some One Piece instead, and I'll go back to that later. But yeah, I want to give a shout out though, and we talked about this morning on NFL Insiders. That this was going to be the best chance for the Detroit Lions to end the losing streak, and technically they did. With an impressive 16-16 tie on the road to the Ben Roethlisberger-less Pittsburgh Steelers here. I'm actually in some ways bummed out by a tie. I'd rather would have seen a definitive winner or loss in that game, but Detroit had the chance to win. They missed a field goal.
Missed it badly.
Yeah.
They didn't just miss it. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
I think a tie was the best possible outcome for the Lions. Here's why. They're still the worst team in the NFL. They still could conserve their number one pick, and yet they will not lose every game this season.
That's true. They may go 0-16-1, but all right. So here's my question. They went 0-16 in 2008. We talked about that, I think, last week. If they go 0-16-1, is that a better season or a worse season?
That is a great question. I think it's a better season. I think the one makes it a better season, even if it is, a weird one.
By the way, this the NFL website is not auto refreshing as I had hoped it would. But I mean, like I said, I don't know. Personally, I think it's slightly better, but I don't know what your win percentage for something like that would end up being. But if you think in 016 and 1, well, mathematically speaking, yeah. But you still did not win 17 games, and that's my point on this. That you had the chance to, you got an extra game to get a win, and you still couldn't pull it off. And yes, mathematically speaking, I will give that to you, Ed. But I think in some ways it's actually, I'm going to go this way. I'm going to say it's more depressing because you did not win in any of your 17 games. The best you could do was muster a tie, and you needed a Hall of Fame quarterback to not be in that game, even if it is on the road. So I'd like to be able to see maybe a little more out of them. I had no choice but to start Jared Goff today because Kyler Murray was injured and I couldn't pull up anybody fast enough. So I haven't even looked at my fantasy league right now, but I guarantee you that I'm getting killed right now because Jared Goff was my starting quarterback, and I think his first half he had 4 completions for 11 yards.
So I did quite well in fantasy today. In the 2 leagues that matter, I'm doing pretty well. It looks like I'm going to go on to win. Mm-hmm. The other leagues where losing might be better than winning, it looks like I'm going to lose. Although I did get a very nice game from Devonta Smith.
Okay.
So I did make an error. I started somebody in that league who I knew was out and just missed that he was out. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that ends up rolling out. But yeah, it's tough when you're sitting there trying to use Jared Goff in fantasy football. That's ugly. He threw a pass towards the end of the game in a key situation. It was the deadest duck I've seen in 27 years. Of
yeah, and
what about
what about Kyler Murray? I mean, the fact that he was scratched and of course screwed me up in the process. I won last week. Yeah,
I think with Kyler Murray, I think it's a smart decision to sit out because they're kind of they're still the best record in football, and I don't see them missing the playoffs.
Nah.
So you might as well just have him healthy. And so I'm a Giants fan, and I had the pleasure of seeing.
I feel your pain.
Colt McCoy last year, so I think he's been a generational backup that is solid. But he just didn't show it today.
Yeah. By the way, Colt McCoy got the start. 11 for 20, 107 yards and a pick. And then also Chris Streveler went 6 for 9 for 36 yards. I guess he's the third string. But Carolina and Cam Newton, by the way, welcome home after your brief breakup with Carolina. Cam Newton, he got some time, 3 for 4, 8 yards and a TD. But PJ Walker, my dude PJ Walker from the Houston Roughnecks of the XFL, 23 for 29, 167 yards, and a pick, granted. But I like to see that dude getting playing time. I really, really do.
So, I mean, Van Jackson points out a huge point here about this year's NFL and the monster power. Like, there is no powerhouse team. And when a team starts to look like a powerhouse, then their quarterback goes down and their best wide receiver goes down, and you're looking like, oh, well, no Kyler Murray and no Nook. What's going to happen? I don't know if that makes it bad, though. I'm not sure I'm going to jump on, that makes it bad. I'm going to let that be that, hey, it could be a lot worse. Randy Gregory's who I started, who was injured, not Robert Woods, Ed. But so there's a lot happening in the NFL with parity-wise that, yes, Fan Jax is 100% right, especially with baseball.
PET ball, ped ball. Yes, please. Well, I think part of it also is the fact that when you have 17 games now, each game is watered down by its volume. When you have 16, it's an event, maybe because of the fact that I don't know, maybe let's say it's an even number there too. But it's almost the more games you have, the less impact each individual game ends up having. So that added game adds 5.8% of the season, whatever the math works out to be. So the games themselves are not quite as important necessarily. But I think in my case personally, I think it would be good for. I would have loved to see a 10-game season. It'll never happen, but something where so much importance, such a level of of need for everything like that. But yes, we were just talking about that before, and sadly we will not have an 0-17 team this year. 0-16-1. Fanjexture, let me ask you this question. I don't know if you were there for this before. 0-16, the Lions they were the first team in history to ever do that. If they go 0-16-1, we're split right now. I think Obie and Ed are talking about the fact that actually is a better season than 0-16. I'm going the other way and saying it's actually a worse season because you had 17 games to win one and you still could not pull it off. Is 0-16 better or is 0-16-1 better? Let me know, any of you guys that are listening in Twitch right now, let me know your thoughts on this. The Lions tied today. Which one's worse if they end up still losing 16 games? But thanks as always for tuning in. I'm Scott. That's Obie. That's Josh as well. JD Walker will be in a little bit right now. And Kansas City Chiefs, respect, are inside the 10-yard line, 1st and goal. Mahomes over the top, and there's your first score of the game. Tyreek Hill with the touchdown, and the Chiefs, as I was hoping for, are in fact going, they do have the first score of this game as well. So I actually got one right.
Yeah, I think that, Scott, you and I, we got it over those Raider pickers.
Yeah. Lions should be relegated to college football. My question, what division? Division 1, 2, or 3? I've watched Division 3 football. I've covered Division 3 football. It is not impressive. I remember a couple years ago, the first game I ever covered was Lehigh Lafayette, the rivalry, which is, the longest running college football rivalry in history. The player of the game was the kicker that kicked the game-winning 28-yard field goal. It wasn't the guy that had the interception in the end zone. It wasn't the guy that threw the touchdown. Your kicker was your literal play of the game, or the player of the game. And that's what Division 3 football kind of is. My question is, what division would the Lions end up being if they end up, by God, going 0-16-1 this year?
They'd still beat Alabama.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yes. Because, the Lions have 50 NFL players on him. Alabama only has 30. Not even. In all honesty, like 12.
So you're saying it will put more of a strain on Alabama, just the very fact that they don't have that,
Yeah.
They got less players to rotate.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at some point, there's going to be busted plays that are going to happen.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, my feeling is on this, 0-16-1, I think it's worse. I do. So 1st and 10. Oh, yeah. 1st and 10. Yeah. I never was actually, as a kid, I was never really allowed to watch HBO. My parents were really, really protective of my stuff. But the kicker of that show, the kicker and the gratuitous nudity. Who would have thought HBO would have gratuitous nudity?
Was it?
And once almost showed my ass. So
who was the star of that show? I cannot remember the female star. I cannot remember her name. Was it 20 Katane or was it somebody else? But yes, there was plenty of gratuitous nudity in that show. And I do remember watching it a lot.
Delta Burke was the lead in that.
Okay.
Wow. Let's see. Yeah, Cliff Frazier, Donald Gibb, Murray, Alda. I don't know who that. Keith Amos. Every name recognized. Sam Jones. Is that the Flash? Oh, cool. The Flash. Sam Jones was in that too.
The Flash Sam Jones, as opposed to some other Sam Jones.
Well, no, I mean, Sam Jones is a pretty generic name, but the one from the 1980 Flash, Queen Flash, savior of the universe. When Queen started doing music for movies, and people were like, oh my God, it made the movie so much better. So
that movie is
yeah, and before designing women, yes. So I think she's still married to Gerald McRaney too. The guy from Major Dad. So
the guy from Major Dad.
Remember that show from CBS?
I do. I do.
By the way, Vegas. Yeah, Obie, you've been to Vegas, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I went to Vegas once 11 years ago. Lost $100 faster than I think any human being could ever do it. And it wasn't even in a casino. Really was sure. Basically, I knew where the answer was, basically where that rock was in 3-Card Monte. And just like that, within a split second, I lost $100. And I looked like a real idiot to every coworker that I was with.
So no, I have been relatively successful in Vegas. Last time I went, I lost everything playing poker that I brought to play. But the worst thing that can happen in Vegas is like you can go in like the way I go. I have one day, one slot that I'm going to play, and the worst thing that can happen is you can schedule that in the middle of your trip and then win, because even if you win, that money's gone. Because Vegas is so easy to spend money. It is so easy, whether it's on the food, the drinks, the things that we don't want our children to know about, the sightseeing, the zip line. Like I go to Vegas and it's like I go to Vegas and I do it like a PG-13 level, and I still come home with like no money and can spend $500 in 3 minutes. So yeah,
Vegas is Vegas is one of those weird places where you can get a 6-pack of beer at a casino for $9 and a cheeseburger for 14. And it's Vegas, like I said, is one of those places where I didn't really feel like I fit in. It didn't match my persona. It didn't match my personal vibe. And if it's your thing, by God, run with it. The Hangover is one of the greatest comedies I've ever seen, but it's not my MO, and I'm not really good at that. You, on the other hand, props to that on craps. $1,000 on that, nice. And you know what? Pays the rest of it. We had a company trip for me. I was lucky when I was a financial advisor. We had a company trip, so everything was all expense paid. And went to Caesar's Palace, and they parked us in there, which is again great. But you look like a real idiot in front of all your coworkers when you lose $100 that fast.
But I think to Fan Jexter's point, right? You win the $1,000, and yes, he used it to finance the rest of the weekend. I suspect that the rest of the weekend he spent $1,000, where he probably went. Let's say he went there again. I don't know, with $400, and had he not won, he would have spent $400 that weekend. Vegas finds a way to suck up that $1,000. Like, oh, sure, welcome.
But at least you feel like you didn't take the hit as badly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I'm not complaining. Like, absolutely, that's the best part of it. Like, you're like, yeah, I'm in Vegas.
I've seen the defibrillator come out at Atlantic City. When people have a literal heart attack because God knows how much they lost.
Right.
The 20 years ago, we had a bachelor party down there in AC, and this dude literally had a heart attack right straight in front of me. And, the paramedics are all over the place. They came in, they did whatever. I don't know what this guy lost, but I guarantee it was not probably like below 10 grand at a bare minimum. He might have lost the house. He might have lost everything. And they just came out with the defib right on the spot like that too. I was really, really surprised. I figured they'd try and drag him off somewhere else, but maybe they didn't have time. Yeah.
By the way, I have not given up on the whole 1st and 10 thing. It was Shannon Tweed was the name I was looking for.
Shannon Tweed. Oh, wow. That's a name. Yeah. That's a name that nobody remembers at this point. Yeah, by the way, part of this show also centers around things that kids aren't going to really recognize. But Shannon Tweed, she was Playmate of the Year in 1982. And Gene Simmons' family jewels, she's in there. She was married to Gene Simmons from Kiss for a while, too. And she's from Canada.
Yes, and that's why I came up. By the way, that's why I came up with 20, because she's Whitesnake. I knew it was married to a rocker type deal.
She also was in that one episode of Fantasy Island, because everybody remembers that. I don't know what she's up to. I remember she was referenced in a lot of episodes of Married with Children. And she did an episode of Hell's Kitchen, too. Still looks good for 64 years old. Nick Simmons and and Sophie Simmons. All right, cool. All right, so right now we are closing in on the end of the first quarter. 7-0 Kansas City. yay for that. My loyalties are very obvious here because I like Patrick Mahomes. I always have. Part of being, old enough to remember his father, Pat Mahomes, when he used to play for the Mets and also the Yankees as well. So it's nice to see the lineage there. I can't speak for this personally, but I mean, as a father, he has got to be over the moon to watch his son's success like that. Different sport, granted, but to see his son crushing it in the NFL the way he is, that has got to make him so proud as a father. Yeah. But
yeah, I would bet that he's as you say, through the roof or through the moon or whatever you want to say on that, because getting to watch your son do anything successfully is great. Whether it's the NFL or just, I don't know, a podcast. My father gets ridiculously excited about watching some of these things. If I take a clip of it and I put it on YouTube, he's like, "Oh, Obie's on YouTube." Like,
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, as a father, my son, he works in stage and theater. 99.9% of the time, he's behind the stage. I'm like, "Oh, look at that thing he built." We're just dads. We're crazy. There was one show he did. His job was to film it as a grip. Yes, in fairness to my father, I do have a great podcast partner.
Yeah. Ed, I just want to point out, when you pat yourself on the back, try not to hurt your shoulder. You are a little old up there. So.
But
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so my son refused to go on stage. There's a turnover in the game. And he's filming the show. That's his job because it was last year during COVID. But the big scene that I was all excited about, he puts his camera down and the main camera stays on and the three cameramen all switch cameras and then pull back on their cameras and you see them switching cameras. And here I was, the happiest dad in the world. He's finally on stage. So back to Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes. Of course he's excited. His son won the Super Bowl. So absolutely.
And also had another trip and a Super Bowl MVP and a lot of good stuff there. First quarter is over here, so it's still 7-0 at the moment. But Derek Carr and the Raiders, and I don't know about you, but I still struggle. I keep trying to say Oakland Raiders to this day. But the Raiders are driving, so they might be able to pull something out here starting the second quarter. But I know for a fact that, I don't know if they've gotten better, but Cecil Fielder and his son Prince Fielder were not really that close, despite the fact that Prince Fielder had a really good career of his own until injury derailed him. But I've often wondered if the two of them were able to reconcile at least a little bit there. From the looks of it, somebody may be popping out, and that would be Josh. Thank you, Josh. Later, we'll talk. So
he may be back. He may not. He's gonna catch the game on the big screen. Maybe he'll jump on his Twitch and join the conversation that way.
That's cool. Right now, we're at 2.86 viewers on average. So anything that get that number over 3 just to get to that partner level, appreciate the assist. Probably weren't able to eat meals together. It might have been a little weird there. Yeah. Hey, look at that. A Rob Gronkowski commercial for USAA. I could see that guy going into acting as soon as his career is over. I think he'd be this is not a bad thing, but I think he'd be a low-end Rock or John Cena. A low-end John Cena, I think, would be Gronk. And that's not a bad thing either. So,
and you're right. I don't know how far he can take it. I know earlier one of our avid typers here was not impressed with Gronk's acting.
Yeah.
But, if that's what he decides to truly focus on, gets a little lessons, a little coaching, why not?
Yeah. He'll get a TV show, probably.
That's the thing, about people who are super successful, whether they're in the NBA, NFL, child actors. You see these child actors who then go to these Ivy League schools. They were successful as child actors because they learned a particular work ethic, they learned how to practice, they learned how to do something, and then they just applied those lessons to another skill, and hence an Ivy League school or whatever else it is, or now I'm a designer. Nobody is dryer.
Alex Karros, I recognize that name. We talked about that before. Fred Dreyer, I forget who he was. But anyway, go ahead.
Hunter.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I realized the other day? It didn't dawn on me, but you probably already know The Rock actually played briefly in 1995 with the Calgary Stampeders in the CFL. Short time. Then he was cut, and then he ended up, moving into wrestling and acting, and the rest is history. But what didn't realize though, you know who the quarterback of the Stampeders was at that time? Doug Flutie. So Flutie actually played with The Rock, and so when The Rock was basically not good enough for
So
Bubba Smith.
My favorite story about The Rock and playing with football is from Warren Sapp.
Mm-hmm.
Because Warren Sapp was the defensive lineman who played in front of The Rock in Miami, and he knew him as Dwayne, right? Dwayne Johnson. So when he found out he played football with The Rock, he was very confused. He's like, I played football with that guy in Miami. I didn't play. The Rock didn't play in Miami. And then they're like, oh, Dwayne. He's like, oh, yeah, because Dwayne got injured early in the season, and that was that. So that's my favorite Rock football story.
Nice. Terry Crews, nobody remembers that he played football for a lot of years, too. He played for 5 years.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I don't remember him playing football. I just know he played football, right? You know what I mean? Like I have no recollection that this guy played football while I was watching football pretty consistently.
And that's funny because you just heard the name. You don't really think about, what they would be later because you didn't have that mindset. In 10 years, this guy's going to be Terry from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Right. And early on, he's going to be the guy in the Old Spice commercials.
Mm-hmm. Or before that, there was a show called Are We There Yet? That filmed in Connecticut.
Yes.
I remember there was a scene. I don't remember, I was brand new doing background work and such, but there was a scene where he had to run through a mall and through this crowd of people that were all sitting there. And I remember asking him, you're going to be okay to get through and everything like that with completely forgetting for a sec. The dude played professional football. He knows how to navigate a crowd, and I look like a complete moron here, but all right. So right now, Oakland, Vegas, LA.
Oakland,
yeah.
Vegas, right down where they need to be here.
Yep.
It's funny. I think the Raiders are one of the easiest name changes for me because I don't worry about where they're from because they keep changing. Whereas like the Chargers, I'm still like on San Diego, and the football team, I still keep calling them the Redskins. But the Raiders are the Raiders. It's who they are. They're just the Raiders.
But with the Raiders, I mean, Oakland to Vegas is not a small jump.
No.
LA to Vegas, you can do in like 3 hours, maybe 3.5 hours. But Oakland to LA or to Vegas is not, a hop, skip, or jump there. But despite that, I got to wonder how many Oakland fans, as Vegas is now on the scoreboard, kudos there. How many Oakland Raider fans are still Vegas fans?
Like I said, I was there right before their first season. They were just selling Raider stuff like everywhere. So I don't know how many people it required to be fans because I think the home city was very excited to have somebody there.
Mm-hmm. But my question is, in this case here, now that they've suddenly got they got two teams now in Vegas very quickly. Yes. Do they get basketball? Do they get baseball? I
don't know who's moving in baseball. I don't know who's moving in baseball to go there. Basketball, possibly.
Mm-hmm. There's talk that basically soccer may be moving to Vegas as well. Are they going to be becoming one of those teams or one of those cities that just starts to run the gamut with every professional sport? If they got baseball, who would it be?
The Padres. How great would it be to have the Padres?
No. Listen, San Diego deserves to have something. The Chargers were ripped away from them, You know, we talk about it from
a team named after priests in Las Vegas.
I know. Okay, that right. You got a point there. You know, but I'm looking at it from a pure San Diego standpoint. It's like they love the Padres. They are proud of that team. That's an impassioned group there.
So yes, fan picture. Yeah. I'm all for less teams. I'm just saying move one that's already in existence there.
Yeah. I mean, my first thought would be Tampa or Kansas City. So
Memphis and Nola moving to the Eastern Conference, and
it's Seattle gets a team. Yeah, I was gonna say Seattle gets the basketball team. Seattle deserves a basketball team again. You know, it's been 15 years, I guess, since the Supersonics left.
Yes, it's been a while. I mean, I think most people only know him as the Thunder. I want to get back to Ed's question because it's been bothering me.
Oh yeah, okay.
So since you put it there, let's take a moment to do that. My sort of thought on that is that Gruden knows there's a lot of other people with a lot of other dirt that got hidden. And the only way to get that out is for him to sue the NFL, have it go to discovery, and be shown. Mm-hmm. So I think that his lawsuit's about making himself not look like the only individual who talked that way, acted that way, behaved that way. And I think if I'm him, you know, I want that. I want to not be the only guy. Mm-hmm. But if I'm the NFL, I think I settle because I don't want. Not that I care that he's the only guy. I mean, I don't even think the NFL. You know, I don't know whether the NFL leaked it or somebody else leaked it or what, or whether it was targeted. But I don't think the NFL wants it out. So I think he's going to collect money.
I think in this case.
Yes, that's exactly what I just said. It's an easy payday.
Yeah, and I don't think it's even about money in this case. I think it's about vindication of his name, because a lot of people are actually thinking, and I think it's probably his thought process as well, is that he has been made to be the scapegoat in this particular situation, and his attitude is, you know, why does it have to be just me? You know, there's a lot of people responsible here. Hey, Josh, by the way, nice intro, thank you, appreciate that. Digging the avatar, by the way, like to see. In this case, I think he just wants to have his name vindicated at least somewhat and be like, I'm not going to be the fall guy here. You have all of this stuff over here as well. You have all of these things that were said and done. And I think, like you said, the NFL is going to try and keep this under wraps because it's going to hurt their brand too much to let all this stuff come out. Same thing to some degree with what happened with the trash can in Houston. You know, I think there's a lot of teams that are doing what Houston was doing in some facet or form. And it was made to look a certain way to be able to protect the league as a whole, because the league is still a business. Both leagues are still a business. So maybe there's some stuff under wraps that they don't want to come out. And they made him be the fall guy. And he's like, no, you know, I'm going to come back at you guys. You need to open up the books and you need to talk about the rest of it.
So here, although I agree with everything you said, except for one thing, it doesn't matter who's next from this group of people. Like, if the emails come out via the league, if they come out via discovery, John Gruden's path to redemption is not made easier. Ooh, nice run. Yeah. Easier or worse by other people coming out. Look, Bonds and Clemens represent the worst of the worst in steroids. But guess what? We all still know that Pettit did it. We all still know that Sheffield did it. We see all the other guys who are still not getting a clear name. If you were great during that time frame, unless your name is Jeter, you used juice and you got accused of it, and it will be a stain forever. So it may not be as bad as the best guys or your stain, but your stain is there and it's going to be there. And I don't see necessarily that if Gruden is successful from a get other people's names out there standpoint, that his name itself will be clear because he was the first. And the first is always not a good thing on these sort of things.
Great pickup by Kelsey there. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But personally, I don't think we're going to find out. You know, I think it's going to be one of those things that's going to be kept under wraps. They're going to tell you on a need-to-know basis what they choose to tell you, and they'll be settling it behind closed doors.
which I think is Ed's final point here, which is he knows it will never go to Discovery, so it's an easy payday. And I think he's right. I think that is exactly what this is, and good for him. He lost a lot of money from his Raiders contract. He made a settlement. And again, like we said before when we were talking about these guys in acting, look, you want to create generational wealth if you have the opportunity, right? Right now, I'd like just to create family wealth. And if I was in a position where I could create generational wealth, I'd love to create generational wealth.
Yeah. And that's the goal, I think, for a lot of people in this particular case. It's not just paycheck to paycheck, but just try and build a legacy, and build something where your grandkids are secure.
Yeah.
When I was a financial advisor, it was the same basic idea, but working with the middle and lower class as often as I was, I never had that. Everybody I was working with was just everybody who's just, $25 a month, $40 a month into an IRA account just to have enough for themselves to get to age like 65 and 70 and not have to rely on their kids. I had so many clients who were retirement age that are relying on their kids because enough wasn't done ahead of time to be able to prep properly. Generational wealth, yes. Generational wealth would be wonderful. If anybody on here knows what that's like, tell us in the comments what you think about it. It's, as my father would say, it's nice hitting a home run starting at third base. I spent my entire life on the bench. So, but I think, it'd be nice to find out. And yes, there is someone. Yeah, agreed. The internet has made billions of opportunities right now. I think, 35 new self-made millionaires every single day in the United States, I think is the new number. Something like that.
Okay. Now we're going to get into numbers here. And I know you know the difference between a million and a billion. I think you're one of those guys who likes to quote one's 11 seconds, one's 38 minutes or something like that.
It's numbers. We can get into why at another time. But, yes.
Yeah. But a self-made millionaire is cute. I'd like to be that. But $1 million is not generational wealth. I think I've said this before. If you gave me $2 million a year, I still think that I would live paycheck to paycheck. I think that's and I'm not even being crazy extravagant. Like the things that I would want that I know, I'd like the cleaning lady. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a couple $100 a month. I'd like a new car, so that's a couple $100 a month. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't live paycheck to paycheck.
I would. I looked it up. It's actually 1,700 new millionaires are created in the U.S. every day.
Okay.
Me, I would live paycheck to paycheck because I spent way too many years eating ramen noodles and corn. I went through way too many years of programming that way to be able to do more. Give me a nice couch, a car that runs. But I'm not going to be one of those guys who's going to go in there and get a $24 million diamond, like literally embedded into his skull.
But even if if I paid off my debt, I could see. I don't know the exact amount. Maybe $2 million is not what I would live in on a budget. I'm already. But the thing is, I'm already investing and earning passive income. Not a lot, but I have a 401k. I have enough money to dabble in Bitcoin. I have an investment account. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what that number is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I need to keep my day job, and not if my right, that's my. Well, assuming $2 million is my day job. Ugh. In this scenario,
here's the thing. Speaking as putting my financial advisor hat back on for a sec. If you live to the age of 65, you have a 50% chance of living to the age of 95. That's the actual statistics. So you have to look at it from that long-term perspective, and that's where a lot of people I think have an issue. This is, by the way, Finance 101 here on Stream Punk Sports. I'm Scott Schertzen. I was a former financial advisor for a Fortune 500 company. I used to teach insurance, investments, mortgages, and the whole shebang. If you want to basically learn more about investments, you will not get it from me because this is not how I want to run the show. I might do actually a Zoom class or something like that. Actually, because I still can. Without even thinking about it, I can still do a class. Sitting on my ass. By the way, Obie, I forgot to tell you, I may start doing financial education classes for the Boy Scouts locally.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
So we don't
All right,
have a scout
I'm
troop
going to get
anymore.
off. I'm going to get off of this $2 million a year
Yes.
paycheck to paycheck opinion, because I think Ed is kind of sort of punctured a hole in it. And what I mean when I say paycheck to paycheck is not what people who really live paycheck to paycheck feel. What I'm saying is that there would still be like, this much is in savings, this much is being spent, and there's no like extra, but whatever.
When you have to be in a situation where you have to decide which bill you're going to pay this month, if it's the phone bill, if it's the electric bill, if it's the internet and cable bill, I have been down that road. And you're like, which one is less likely to shut me off? Or you do that thing, and this happens also, where you spread like the phone bill across like 5 different credit cards because they're all maxed out. And you're like $10 here, 8 cents here, just to be able to. I mean, that's the shit I'm talking about. That's why I won't go crazy with it, because that's too programmed into my head.
And that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is my budget. I look at my money. I put this much, into solid investments, and then this is my allowance, and then I could go right through that allowance. Easy peasy. Now, if I was making more than that, it's like, these are my solid investments. And then, like Ed said, oh, so now this is the money I'm saving up specifically to buy a house. Mm-hmm. In that case, speaking of buying the houses, that's why we're doing this. So you can link and subscribe here to Twitch so that we can be big millionaires.
Because Scotty doesn't want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day anymore.
Right. Or we can just talk about sports all day. So that's what we'd like to do. Yes. We'd like you to join us in this conversation about sports. Yeah. So go ahead, follow us here on Steampunk Sports on Twitch. Like us, comment away. We want to hear from you so we can change the subject. We're also on Twitter and Facebook and
Instagram,
Instagram, and Face Friends and friendly stuff. If Meta owns it, we're on it. The only caveat is Twitter doesn't have an S.
Yeah, because 15 characters. But you know what? Still easy to find anyway. So Streampunk Sports. We're rolling along happily here. But right now it's back to 10-7 at this point. So far, it's MySpace. Dude sold MySpace for $500 million. Good on him.
Yes. MySpace is in the whatever happened to segment of drinking from the garden hose. Whatever happened to MySpace?
Well, Tom, it's funny because I remember seeing a tweet once. Somebody tweeted to Tom. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna listen to the guy who's who couldn't keep MySpace afloat. And his response was, yeah, you're talking to the guy who sold MySpace for $538 million while you're still begging for your boss for a day off on a Wednesday. I love that line. Tom apparently is actually a really cool guy too. But if you go back far enough, you remember Napster. The guy who created Napster was from Cedar Grove.
I remember Napster, and I remember what Metallica did to Napster, and I've never forgiven Metallica. They fought hard for that one to stop, downloading YouTube or downloading MP3s at that point. But that was the way the world was going to go. It is the way, people don't buy hardcore, CDs or, thing like that anymore. Everything's downloadable. I pay for YouTube, and I'm so happy I do, because I can sit there with a click of a button and pull down every single song from an artist. Right now I'm working through Kansas. So when I have long car rides, I'll blast through an album or two of Kansas. It's great. Used to DJ. Obie, you were in a frat? I was in a frat with Ed, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Ed and I are frat brothers. Now, this is, of course, not true because we're so old. Napster didn't exist when we were in college, but
Napster was 99-ish, yeah. So which frat? Which school? Which frat?
We were in Tau Epsilon Phi at Rutgers University. We were in the Alpha Phi chapter, which no longer exists.
Not having actually gone to college myself, and actually, ironically, working and sort of teaching at one, I did have some knowledge of the frats that were going on there. But so right now, 10-7, fourth down, and out comes Derek. 6:29 left, 28-27. It's a good chance right now for Kansas City to be able to put this up by a two-score game. I'm liking this game right now. It hasn't sucked as much as some of the other games we've been watching. So yay for that, because like I said, a lot of these games have been trash lately, except for the one that I was actually not at. And then, then they scored 75 points. So good punt there. Oh, yeah, great Raiders bounce there all the way down to the 26-ish yard line, I guess that was. So, yeah, that's the kind of punt you need right there. But Kansas City's got 3 timeouts left, 6 minutes. You can do a hell of a lot with that time. So, Obie, you were frat president too?
I was when it died, as that is pointed out here.
So basically, you're the reason it died.
I won't go that far, but it did suffer some losses.
Alpha.
Happy Animal House.
Well, I remember Omega moved from that one, and Omega Moo was Revenge of the Nerds, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Alpha Delta Pi was I don't know what that was.
I'm waiting for the answer. I get my guess.
Oh yeah, Animal House. Okay, there it is. Okay, yeah, it was Animal House. Yay!
Never recover from double secret probation.
Can't believe they did like 4 Revenge of the Nerds movies. Really impressed by that. But we got 1 month away from the new Matrix movie coming out. We got 6 weeks away from new season of Cobra Kai, so I'm happy as hell about that as well. I don't know what else is coming up lately from a movie standpoint, a TV show standpoint. All right. How are the Devils doing? And they're down. God damn it. Down 3-2. But all right. So we got, like I said, 6.5 minutes remaining here. Hawkeye. Oh, yeah. The Hawkeye series is coming out. Rob Stats was the stand-in on Hawkeye, too. So Police Academy. Yeah. Police Academy with the one with Michael Winslow in every iteration. I think 7 movies, a TV show, and even the cartoon series. And yes, there was a cartoon series. Now, Fanjecture, you're good with this kind of stuff. If you can, who was actually the group that recorded the rap intro to the Police Academy TV series? Without looking it up, but that would be so hardcore like 80s if you get that answer right. Police Academy.
I'm waiting, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on Fanjecture.
Yeah, all right. You know what? I'm gonna give the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Fat Boys.
True Life Crew.
True Life Crew, no. Eric Stratton.
For my time.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, born 1980. Yeah, well, you could have watched it. I remember it was like it came out like 1989, so it's possible. Yeah, the Police Academy series was 1988. It kind of loses a little bit though when you think about, Michael Winslow. Because Michael, obviously, all the stuff was, the sound effects and everything. But when you watch him in a cartoon series, kind of loses some of the impact. Yeah. The dude's nuts in real life, too. I've watched him in stand-up. It's crazy. He actually doesn't like it was funny. He did a stand-up bit, and he barely ever did any of the sound effects. Everything that he is so used to, you know him from, he didn't want to do any of it. He tried to do other material. And it's like, it was okay.
Well, the problem is when you're known for something and then you don't do it. That's always the problem. That's the problem with all art, right? You become like the sound effect guy, and you're really funny, and then you're not doing your sound effects. So and then be like, so it can be difficult.
Sure, but so right now, closing it.
That's like Will Smith goes ahead and does everything. It's like, really? What? How you doing that?
He was awesome in Spaceballs. Will Smith, yes, he was great in Spaceballs.
Yeah.
I watched Will Smith shadow box on the set of Men in Black 3. It was one of the weirdest experiences I ever saw. because he'd shadow box between takes to get himself ready.
For what? For what?
Men in Black 3. Good,
Okay.
Good catch by Kelsey. They're in field goal range now too. So he's a really cool dude too. But Donald Glover, yeah. It's funny. I'm so far behind. I've gone through like 8 episodes of Community at this point, and I need to spend more time on Community right now. But I had to catch up on What We Do in the Shadows, restarting Cobra Kai so I can be ready for season 4 when that comes out. But I've heard like amazing things about Community.
It slows down towards the end. It gets a little long in the tooth, I guess.
It overextended as well. It's overextended its welcome. Then you're saying,
yeah.
30,
King Richard does
20.
look awesome.
What's that?
King Richard.
Mm.
There's a movie that will probably wind its way into the great sports movies, and then it's going to give Will Smith, a couple of sports movies under his belt for sure. I mean, he already has Ali, so he's really working on that pedigree.
He also had the one, and nobody remembers this. He had the one, I forget the name of it, but centering around the NFL concussion protocol.
Yeah.
Was that Concussion?
I think it was called Concussion.
Was it? Okay, yeah. So, 12-yard line. We got a reverse going on, and can we turn the corner, and yep, he's only getting 2 out of that. So, but yeah, he's flown under the radar with some of the other sports movies that he's had. When you think of sports movies, typically you'll start thinking of like Kevin Costner first, because, well, Kevin Costner's to baseball, kind of like that's what his wheelhouse has always been.
Keiku. All right, I'm old. What's Keiku?
What's that? Daughter? Okay. The irony is you can't. Okay, yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah.
So, don't sleep on Tin Cup.
Yeah, right.
Hey, and don't sleep on Will Ferrell either.
On Twitch. So. Oh yeah, Tin Cup. Oh my God, dude, we're not boomers. We're Gen X.
Will Ferrell has a nice little supply of sports movies too.
Dude, I mean, yeah. What does he have? Semi-Pro, Talladega Nights,
the skater movie, skating movie.
Oh yeah, Blades of Glory.
Did he pull a cameo in Dodgeball? I don't remember one.
No, he did not. Chuck Norris did. William Shatner did.
And Lance
Armstrong did.
One of the. Well, that didn't age well.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's funny, and that was like the inspiring speech that caused Vince Vaughn's LaFleur character to go at it and be like, you know what, I'm not giving up right now.
Yeah,
and that was his speech about overcoming adversity and challenges, and then a few years later, but kicking and screaming. Okay, yes.
It's a soccer movie, yes.
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Will Ferrell has a new movie coming out with Ryan Reynolds where they're doing a musical update adaptation on Christmas Carol. And Ryan Reynolds is playing Scrooge, and I think Will Ferrell is playing the Ghost of Christmas Present.
I didn't know what they were doing together, but that they did that song that just totally went viral, and it's all over my TikTok. So, yeah, I knew they were doing something together.
They filmed it in Boston. I think it wrapped only 3 weeks ago. But I knew a guy that was up there for a couple of weeks and said it was a really cool experience. It was really well done. Like I said, musicals are amazing to work. They're such a cool experience to be able to see firsthand because there's so much that goes into it that you never see in the final cut. I saw it with Greatest Showman. This stuff will bring you to freaking tears. But also in this case, by the way, we're coming down to the 2-minute warning. So far, this has been a relatively fast game, which is usually what I say when the game remarkably slows down because that's usually my dumb luck. JD Walker just sent the message. He's going to be on pretty soon. Okay. But Will Ferrell, yeah, not a bad career post SNL.
No, not a bad career post.
He's managed, but it's funny because you look at him versus like say Chris Kattan, and Kattan obviously he had like some kind of a neck injury, and he had some issues going on. But you look at like the two of them from Night at the Roxbury. One went. It's like the Peter Scolari to the Tom Hanks, if you will.
But and not to mention what Will's done behind the camera. I mean, doesn't he own or have a major part in Funny or Die besides just being on it? Like,
I believe he owns part of that. Yes, he's done a lot of stuff on there too. But yeah, he's owned that. I think the same way that Ryan Reynolds owns, or at least part owns, Mint Mobile.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then back to Ryan Reynolds. I watched Red Notice. You can skip that. That's my review on Red Notice. You can skip it.
That's the official response to that. It's like, meh. All right.
It was meh. There was nothing bad. It wasn't bad. And I like all three of the stars. I mean, I like all three of them. And I just it was not a fun watch. I was saddened. There's my man JD.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hey, how you doing, man? So, all right, let me see if I can figure out a way to get this. I'm going to put you up there. Yeah, I guess that works. Okay. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that works.
I'm digging your hat, by the way, sir.
JD.
Yep.
Yes. Hi, JD. So, because you can't do it all on your own. You're no Superman. But here we are, basically with a not sucky game so far. I'm impressed at this point.
Not bad so far.
Yeah.
I expected a little more scoring, but it's still early.
I think second half is going to pick up.
Yeah, probably.
But right now, first half, Kansas City's got a great shot of going up by 10 at this point. I'd love to see them be able to do that. I mean, again, this is a chance for them to get sole possession of first place. And granted, it took them 10 games to do it, but yeah, fast pace making up for a low score right now because we got 2 minutes left in the first half. Vegas presumably will get the ball back towards the end of this first half. Kansas City will probably do everything they can to try to keep, burn the clock, but I think Vegas is going to get it
back from 2-minute warning here. We got 10-7 and fourth and inch. Chiefs with the ball and fourth and inches in the red zone.
Yep. Make it count. So, no coaches challenge allowed in the last 2 minutes.
This
is one of those defining factors.
Since I have Carr on my fantasy team and I need a win finally.
Nice. So, and the handoff, and he's got it. Yeah.
Enough for the first
Stop
down.
short of the end zone, but he's still in for the first down. So that's probably arguably the best situation that they could, ask for right in that situation. They got, they can burn a little more of the clock off at this point. Keep Vegas from getting the ball back and theoretically just get the touchdown. So kudos to them. In your case, I think the general consensus for the most part has been the fact that Kansas City is going to win. I forget if it was Ed or if it was Fanjector that said that. I think it was Fanjector said that he believes that Raiders are going to take this game. What do you think?
This is a tough one. It could really go either way. I mean, I think the Chiefs have been warming up. But with the, where they're kind of snapping out of their funk, I could easily see them just going nuts from here for the rest of the season. But with the Raiders,
real quick, I'm sorry. I just want to point out the NFL website right now still has it at 3 minutes and 16 seconds left.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just want to point out the oddity of that. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So with the Raiders playing at home and being charged up for a game like this, I think that. I would honestly, it could go either way. I think the Chiefs win a tight one, but I would not be surprised if the Raiders take it.
Pass and out of play.
So JD, I'd like you to introduce you to Josh.
Oh yes,
Josh is going to do some stuff with us. Hopefully, he and I already talked. He is probably going to get his setup at home up and going, so he can join us via stream as opposed to sitting next to me, as well as he's going to help us in the back someplace. Yes. So that's great stuff.
Obie has a monocle.
Yes. Why are we talking about me having a monocle?
Mahomes, and there it is.
And touchdown to Hill.
Yes. Yeah, I got to get my ass up to get this done.
Nice.
Yes, the monocle, and it's taken some time to learn to wear, and it's going to fall out in about 3 seconds, but there we go. You're supposed to have wax for this, and if you have wax, it helps it stay in And it's actually amazing as somebody who needs readers. This is the same strength as my reader while Tyreek Hill scores touchdowns.
Mhm.
And you only need the one eye, and you can read like normal with both eyes open with just the one eye monocle. So
Yeah.
I think the reason monocles have gone out is because
And it's good.
they don't stay on your face.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the big thing about it. But it's probably, like I said, it's similar to like wearing one contact lens. And I think all of us at some point or another who have had contacts have gone with just one contact lens. I went like 2 years that way. So it's probably about the same way that way. The only thing I got right now is I got these things, which are probably not even going to work. But I really need to get some kind of a thing because you guys have the steampunk thing working way better than I got it right now.
Yeah, I actually, because I was going through some boxes and stuff today, and I found a pocket watch that I had,
nice.
from my college roommate's wedding. So
LASIK in one eye. Yeah, okay.
yeah, my mom actually just had she had a cataract in her eye zapped out. So because of that, she's now is kind of doing the same thing where she only has the glasses in one eye. Because the cataract in the other eye isn't it's not big enough yet for them to go take it out, but she's between, there's no sense in getting a new prescription for only one eye. So
my mother had the cataract surgery as well and went from like 520 vision to suddenly 2010. After 70 some years, it was such a bizarre switch for her to deal with that. Now my question in this case is specific to Fanjecture. Got LASIK in one eye, best decision ever. Is that weird though? Where you got one eye that's so rockingly better than the other one.
So while Fanjecture takes the time to type.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
That was another guess I had, but I wasn't sure how to say that.
Okay. My grandfather had the same thing.
I worked with a woman who got the LASIK in both eyes, but she had her one eye set for farsight and the other set for short-sighted. So she could drive and read without glasses, whereas when most people get, and then they end up still needing readers.
Yeah, anybody I know who had LASIK, they needed readers afterwards. Yeah, and chronic dry eye. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Robin's got reading glasses. She looks really kind of funny when she has to wear them too. But she got them for work, being a veterinarian. And she was able to actually turn it into a literal medical expense because she needed it for surgery.
Yeah, makes sense.
But
yeah, I actually dated somebody with a glass eye years ago.
Went on a date once with a girl with a lazy eye, but I've never had a glass eye.
No, she had cancer when she had some kind of cancer when she was a baby, so they had to take the eye out. And Fanjecture's just screwing with us. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's bad. But I was gonna say this has been a weird, dark conversation. We were talking about retirement before you came on and the inability to retire and the struggle there. We're talking about glass eyes and shit.
I was quite enjoying the Fanjecture glass eye story as I follow Fanjecture on YouTube, and I'm just going through the images, going, that dude doesn't have a glass eye.
Well, and you'd know better.
We spent a lot of time plugging our stuff, drinking from the garden hose, the greatest podcast there is, which you can, of course, get on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you get podcasts. We've plugged ourselves here, Streampunk Sports, etc., wherever we are. But I will like to give Fanjecture a plug. He is on YouTube.
We can't get over that awful Mark Davis bowl cut.
Fanjecture is on YouTube. It's a great channel, especially if you like movies, as he has come through with us many times through this show. You'll see him there. So just a plug for him. All out great show. And I'm keeping my actual relationship with Fanjecture secret to the audience. So yeah, that's why I didn't call you out. I was laughing.
Now the world knows. Now we know. If my channel sucks, don't follow me. Is this one of those reverse psychology things? You don't want to watch this. Don't watch it. Must see it.
Smoke. Are you smoking yet?
Smoking bad. You shouldn't smoke. Yeah. And there it is. Now fourth down. Here's what's interesting. Fourth down. Okay, Obie. This is a punting situation. 4th down and 3, deep in your own serve. Kansas City gets the ball back with 3 timeouts.
Yeah. Look, you remember what happened? This is exactly when the Giants punted it last week. Or not last week, but the last time they played on a game we watched. And I yelled about it then. And I'm going to yell about it. I don't think this is a completely quit punt. And I don't think that this is I get why a coach would be afraid, but we are seeing a lot more real Patrick Mahomes this game, right? Like, we are not seeing a rush Patrick Mahomes, a mistake-prone Patrick Mahomes. I'd be afraid. I feel like you got to score a touchdown every time you touch the ball right now. That Patrick Mahomes is back on the field, and you're kindly giving him the ball with a minute left. And
he's 16 for 21. He's 16 for 21, 164 yards and 2 touchdowns. No rushing yards, but for a first half, that's an impressive first half.
And
no rushing yards.
Kansas City defense is like getting off on 3rd downs, which is really important that they couldn't do before. And they're kind of playing safeties over the top, which they struggled with the past few weeks because their secondary is all beat up. So
yeah, I mean, right now, Derek Carr. Here's what's curious about this. The big thing about this is that they've been focused. Derek Carr has only had 11 passes, and they've only had 9 rushes. Yeah. So they've only had 20 plays from half so far. So
this drive is a biggie. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Now I forgot who kicked. Kansas City kicked off, I think, in the first half, right? I don't. If you're wrong, don't worry about it. But I'm just thinking.
Yeah, I think, and then Las Vegas went 3 and out. I think.
Or was it the other? No, I think it was the other way around. Actually, I think maybe Vegas gets the ball back second half.
Yeah, one of the teams was 3 and out.
But right now, Vegas has only had a little under 12 minutes of possession time. That's an issue because especially if they don't get a good start in the second half and Kansas City is up, if they can, Kansas City can even get a field goal out of here and turn this into a 2-touchdown game. I mean, you can't ask for much. That's vintage Kansas City. That's the Kansas City that we've been waiting on. Additionally, 2 big factors as well. Vegas right now only has 5 first downs to Kansas City's 13, and they're 1 for 5 on 3rd down. So Josh, you were talking about 3rd down and stopping the play. They've only got 20% on 3rd down right now. That's a big deal.
So that punt, by the way, my punt bot only slightly called it a toss-up on that punt. Okay. But I love when they call it a toss-up because they're only giving Las Vegas a 13% chance of winning anyway. So the extra points don't really help them.
Yeah, and right now, Kansas City is inside Raider territory. They just burned their first time out. There's 37 seconds left, about the 47-48 yard line. And the Devs are tied at 3. Okay, good.
And the surrender index on that was only like 2.4.
Yeah.
This picture of Eastern Michigan with the offensive lineman doing the check me out pose with his gut hanging out of his jersey is fantastic.
So the punt bot is actually Twitter's Ben_bot_Baldwin. It's the 4th down decision bot. And every punt that happens in the NFL, here we are plugging in a completely different thing. They give you the recommendation of it. Statistically speaking, they'll tell you what the increased winning percentage is if you on what you can do. They give you the actual play, and then they give you a little description of what your winning percentage was if you go for it, what your winning percentage is if you punt, and then your chances of successfully getting that 4th down, and how your winning percentage changes if you fail to get the first down or if you actually get the first down when you go for it. It's one of my favorite little follows. I love that. You really do. Index as well because I hate punting, and these are great numbers about how bad punting is for you. So the punt is a turnover.
Punting is destroying the NFL. Remove punting.
It's not destroying the NFL. It's great, and it makes great plays. Don't get me wrong.
Down deep and just overthrown. That would have been 6. That would have been 6. All right, so third down
Speaking
and
of
10.
win percentages, I'm seeing my win percentage go down in my fantasy league, even though I'm still technically ahead because Carr is doing nothing and my opponent has Kelsey and Hill. So this is so I'm firmly staying in last place.
Well, we've already acknowledged that basically that's going to be your future anyway.
Yeah, it's one of those things where just towards the end of the season, I'm rooting for people that might be a little nicer with team renames because there's a few people that I know if they win, it will probably be.
All right. So
everybody knows
basically,
I'm a Jets fan, so I'm expecting some kind of Tom Brady or Patriots related punt.
Yeah, get everybody caught up to speed on what happens if you are in fact in last place.
Yes, in my fantasy league, if you finish in last for the following season, the person who won the league the year prior gets to change the last place finisher's team name. That's the punishment component for finishing last.
And in your mind, what would be like the 3 worst names you could ever possibly have?
Just so your opponent knows.
Yeah. I'm not putting much ideas out there aside from what I said already, but my guess is that it will be a Brady or Patriots related thing. If somebody how deep the person will go into that, depending on who wins, I'm not sure.
But your passion for the Jets, and obviously, well, they played today. Technically, they did play a game.
The Jets did play a game.
Yes, they did.
Not well, but they did play a game.
Yes. They basically, here's what's going to happen. The Bills took out all their anger on
no
last
unique.
week's
They're not in my
Jets.
fantasy league, but they've heard me complain about it enough because we
the
all
Giants
complain about our fantasy.
The Giants are going to get it next week. Pass over the middle and close enough in the field goal range. You can get at least something there. The Giants are going to get it next week because Tampa lost today. And the Giants get Tampa on Monday night.
The Chiefs apparently are not trying to score. Oh, they did. They called the timeout with 2 seconds left.
So
I thought they were about to run the clock out.
I'm not. The Brady bunch, that could be, yeah. So.
Why? Because of our squares?
No, I'm not in his. He knows the people that I'm in with, though. And I'm getting killed today. I'm not even bothering to look because Gesicki didn't do crap with my tight end.
I think he was saying the Brady Bunch would be a fantasy team name for me.
What's that?
The Brady Bunch would probably be a fantasy team name.
I was like, could you do something about the Jets, though?
Oh, Josh Jacobs is I got Josh Jacobs going for me today in a league where I'm up by 40, but
nice.
A player can get 40 points, so it's not a done deal yet.
All right, and kick
46-yarder
and up and wide left for nothing.
They're still up 10 going into halftime.
They still go up 10, yeah.
I'm surprised. This is my first time watching a game in this new stadium. I am very surprised that they were able to put a natural grass field in Vegas.
It's a nice stadium. You can't disagree there.
Oh yeah, it better be. I mean, all of the new stadiums built are nice and and show that they're cool places to watch the game, except for MetLife Stadium.
So here's what I say about Las Vegas and water. At some point, there will be an archaeological dig in about 1,000 years, and they're going to be like, "How did they get water here?" The same way we currently go, "Hey, how did they build the pyramids?" Like, it's just the same sort of insanity. They're going to be like, "How did they get water? This was a desert." Because they don't have no need to get water to Vegas for whatever reason. And so, yeah, natural grass in Vegas. Like I said, been to Vegas. There's no grass there.
No, there's no grass. There's no trees. There's only, there might be a palm tree or something here and there, but that's about it.
Yeah.
The only water is in a fountain in the casino. There's, or the Hoover Dam. That's about it.
The Hoover Dam ain't that close. Like, I've been to the Hoover Dam from Vegas, and it was a nice trip, but it was an all-day trip. It's a long-ass drive. to get there. So yes, the water in Vegas and grass in Vegas, those are impressive things to say the least.
Arizona, I think, had a grass field too. I don't know if they still do, but I know it was like how they did it was that even though it's a dome, they were able to. There's some system that they were able to roll out the field into the parking lot to get more sun or something. I don't know if they're still doing that. If they just said the heck with it and put turf down, I'm not sure.
Yes, yeah. I mean, and Arizona probably has the same scrawny bushes as well because it's just it's just a mess up. It's not an easy thing to get the grass with the heat and everything, and. Harry Connick Jr. makes a great Daddy Warbucks, doesn't he? I don't know. Who else would you have as Daddy Warbucks in this version of Annie with
Didn't we just have an Annie though with Jamie Foxx?
Yeah.
That
was a movie, not a live production dealio.
I'm behind a little bit on what you guys are talking about.
I read something that the bridge on the Passaic River that was the backdrop in the original Annie movie that has just been sitting there unused and rusting away for several decades that they're finally demolishing.
Whenever I think of Annie, of course I think of Allison Smith and Allison Kirk from Waldwick.
From our town, yes. So, but yeah, the Rock in everything, But here's the thing: The Rock's going to be in it. The Rock, by rule, has to be ex-military, ex-cop, something that basically explains why the man is jacked beyond human measure.
He's bigger now than when he was a wrestler.
I know, dude.
I think a great Rock movie would be a movie where you completely ignore the fact that he's jacked, like
Tooth Fairy.
Just ignore it, just like. I hate just like people just like acting like he's small the entire movie. Just like, oh, get out of here, wimp. All right,
that new movie with him and Ryan Reynolds looked funny as hell.
Yeah,
mostly because of Ryan Reynolds though.
I mean, if you got 2 hours, you're not gonna be like, I wish I could get that time back, but you might go, I wish I watched something else.
But if you think about it, that movie went right to Netflix, though, right?
Yep, straight to Netflix.
Which, if you think about how big does Netflix have to be to get a movie with The Rock and also Ryan Reynolds, two of the most marketable actors in Hollywood right now, and then Jector, I promise I'll get to your story in a second. I'm going to read that when we get to it. But and Netflix is just like, yeah, we got it. Don't have to go to theaters. We got this. It's fine.
It's not just those two. Gal Gadot is the female lead.
Yes. Also 100% true. Although Robin was talking about it. She's like, is Gal Gadot completely typecast now? As only like the action star?
I know the movie Unique is talking about, but I forget the name. I've never seen the whole thing, but only like a few minutes.
Oh, is that
Yeah, Jumanji, the two Jumanji movies with Kevin Hart.
It might be the Jumanji movie.
No, I think he's thinking of the one he's in the CIA.
Okay. By the way, we have to give the story here. On my honeymoon to the Virgin Islands, my hotel room had two channels. One was local weather on 24-hour loop. The other was Annie on 24-hour loop. That's saying you only watch weather for so long.
That's a random choice for Caribbean islands. Why Annie?
My favorite Rock movie is Be Cool.
It works, So
yeah.
My favorite Rock movie is Be Cool. Now he's not the star. That's a Travolta piece, but he's in it and he's playing opposite Vince Vaughn for most of the movie, and it is. He plays literally himself, like a big guy who's physically big guy who's trying to break into Hollywood, and it's great. And he does like his thing is I got a smoldering look. It's a great piece. He does a great thing, and it's real early in his career. And yes, she is typecast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The Rock is. I've got a DVD with Get Shorty because technically the sequel to Get Shorty.
Yes.
Yeah. Nobody remembers that the Rock was actually in this one too. So
he was in Get Shorty or Be Cool.
Be Cool.
Yeah.
You know, but see, I'm going to take it a step further on this one. I think one of The Rock's first acting bits ever was on the season 1 episode of That 70s Show, where he played his father, Rocky Johnson, the wrestler. And part of his dialogue was like, you know what? One day, my son is going to be the biggest action star in Hollywood. You know, and I thought that was just a great line. I just thought that was so cool. And nobody knew who The Rock really was at that point, you know, outside of like the clique group in wrestling. So
yeah, like I knew him as a wrestler because I was because
Rampage.
I was a big WWF fan.
Rampage was one of those just, you know, it's stupid as hell, but by God, it was so much fun. You know, it's really Fast and Furious movies.
I'll have to cash Rampage then. You know, I did not see it.
It is not Oscar-worthy material, but it is an enjoyable 2 hours. You know, it's one of those rare video game to movie adaptations that doesn't entirely suck. So,
and that in of itself is quite impressive,
dude. Yeah, well, history being what it is. I mean, I haven't seen the latest Mortal Kombat, but I heard that wasn't terrible.
Central Intelligence. Which one was that?
That's the one. I guess that's The Rock
she's talking about.
Yeah, the second Mortal Kombat movie was pretty good, and I think the reason it was good is if you see the honest trailers, is they just invented a character and just threw him in and made him like the main character. It had nothing to do with the video games. It's like, wait, who's this guy? I don't know.
I gotta reach out to John Bailey, the voice of the honest trailer guy. I would love to have him on something like this too.
You actually do know that guy who does the honest trailers?
I don't, but Miguel is tight with him. If you remember Miguel Figueroa, the MMA guy.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he has the Toy Quest 101 YouTube channel. Yeah. He's actually really tight with John Bailey, because John Bailey will come on his show and just be like, you know, it'll work, you know, do all the honest trailer stuff and just say whatever like Miguel and his daughter want him to say. So, oh my God, I would love to have that dude come on this thing.
Yeah, I love the car commercial he did.
I know, it's so cool. It's nice to see a YouTuber kind of go a little bit more mainstream. He did some stuff for, I think, like WeTV and Law and Order, where he did some commercials and honest trailer stuff.
Yeah,
but
The Rock played college football at Miami. Unique.
And also, we talked about this beforehand. Also, The Rock played with the Calgary Stampeders in 1995. Got released because he wasn't good enough, but played alongside CFL legend Doug Flutie.
Really? Well,
Doug Flutie was the starting quarterback with Calgary at that point. Yeah.
Well, also, he was teammates with what, like 6 Hall of Famers when he was at Miami?
I think so. Yeah.
Like that team at Miami was probably better than the CFL team he played on, and probably some of the NFL teams he tried out for.
Yeah, I mean, Doug Flutie's, I think, considered the greatest CFL player of all time. And he was
Warren Moon is up there as well. Everybody forgets that Warren Moon had, I think he played like 5 or 6 years in the CFL before coming back.
He did, yeah. He bounced around a little bit too.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, uniquely me missed my story about The Rock and Warren Sapp. And I'm sorry, Josh was just departing, so I didn't hear everything that was just said. Okay. But, yeah, I mean, Warren Sapp was like, I played football with Dwayne Johnson. Yes, he was the linebacker who was behind you, who got injured, and that ended his football season when you went on to win a national championship with one of the great programs of all time.
Yeah, Warren Moon played with the Edmonton Eskimos, who I don't think are the Eskimos anymore, from 78 to 83, and then played an additional, and this is impressive as shit, an additional 17 years in the NFL between Houston, Minnesota, Seattle, and Kansas City. So his entire NFL playing career as a quarterback was from 1978 to 2000.
And he was still
there, Tom Brady.
Like that was the thing. If he had played his whole career in the NFL, he would have probably retired as the all-time leader in passing yards.
He could have. In the NFL itself, he ended with just shy of 50,000 passing yards, which in the 80s and 90s era was pretty impressive.
That was the Houston type run. I believe they had a run and shoot type offense for most of that time. So he racked up a lot of yardage in the 80s when that wasn't really happening yet. You know, outside of
Drew Hill, he was one of his receivers. But yeah, he led the league in passing 2 years in a row with 46.89 and 46.90.
Warren Moon is another player who doesn't get enough credit because his teams were not good enough to get Super Bowls. As far as playoff appearances, his most notorious playoff appearance was unfortunately being part of a team that was being on a team that had at the time what for years was the biggest playoff collapse of all time. Yeah, the Buffalo Houston game in '92.
But he is a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer in both leagues, by the way, Canada and the NFL. But yeah, the Eskimos. What are they now?
They're the
Elks, the Edmonton Elks.
Edmonton Elks. They are now.
Yeah.
I believe Edmonton Eskimos was partly because of the alliteration, but not much like the Washington football team. I guess they had to change it, for similar reasons. And
the Chiefs got to be changing at some point too. The Braves got to be changing. Blackhawks maybe too.
So
that's the least of the issues with the Blackhawks organization right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this stuff with the sexual abuse scandals. Nobody involved with the team management at the time should be employed in the NHL anymore.
By the way, since you're a Devils fan, the Devils are up 2-1 in the shootout right now.
2-1 in the shootout.
If the Rangers don't score, the Devils will take this game. So
I think that the names Chiefs and Braves, it's interesting. Like, I don't know. It's not me, so it's hard for me. Who am I to say that they're not offensive or they are offensive? But I find that they are less rude than the name that's like Indians, which is literally a word we wouldn't even use to describe that culture, those people anymore, or Redskins, which was never even a nice word, or at least Indians, that was a momentary nicer word.
Although the Chiefs
you can make an argument that those words, Chiefs and Braves, are not negative words. The problem is that those teams use the chop with their fans. And if your fans won't stop using the chop, you have to change the name so that they will not use the chop to something that is not.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like the because I think the Braves don't really they don't encourage the chop anymore, but it still happens, and they don't.
It still happens for popularity. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like there was a high school near where I grew up, and my team played them twice a year because we were in the same division, and they had the mascot Braves. And I remembered something recently where what they would do was for home games at this school, the student section would for the national anthem, they would scream out "Home of the Braves" as the last line, go nuts, and then go right from that into the tomahawk chop coming out of the national anthem.
Okay.
Which, looking back on that, like, wow, that's awful. I hope they don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, here in Jersey, we were northern New Jersey. We were raised on the whole Lenny Lenape Indians was the phrase of it. So every Waldwood kid knew, that they came down the Bering Strait, and shootouts going on forever here. And every northern New Jersey kid knew this story because there's so much New Jersey lore when it comes to the Lenny Lenape Native Americans. And we never really heard anything like that as far as the chop goes or anything, but it was just what we were raised on, obviously different era, different mentality. And I have no problem with the name change. I just figured just don't make it a dumb name is all.
Yeah, well, the thing I'm surprised about is that there's a regional school district in South Jersey, where it's several towns, and all the high schools are named after different Native American tribes.
Yeah, like there's Cherokee.
Yeah, it's like Cherokee, Seneca, Lenape.
Yep, that's right in my neck of the woods.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, Obie, you remember that one? Between that and various trips to the Hermitage.
Yeah, I mean, and so that's where a tribe name doesn't. Again, it's not me, so it's I'm here to be corrected. But looking from the outside in, a tribe name seems to be an honorific. But again, it's not me, so it's hard. I'm not going to sit here if the Cherokee Nation comes into Cherokee High School and says this is offensive. You need to change your name or your mascot or all of it, some of it, whatever. It's got to be listened to. But when Obie Schottenfeld says it, J.D. Walker, Scott Churchland says it, that's a little, well, I meant it to be honorific. Can you, can you ask somebody who it affects? That's all. That's my.
Yeah. Well, the same way, like I believe the Seminole tribe of Florida gave
yes,
they are. Apparently, the Rangers just won in the shootout, didn't they?
They just did. Yeah. How could you know?
But as you were saying, yes, the Seminoles of Florida, there is a cohesive agreement. I believe there's some money that goes from the school.
I was going to say there has to be an exchange of money there in order for them to be okay with it.
I believe the guy who plays the Indian there, or whatever they call the mascot, is in fact a member of the tribe, like the Seminole tribe.
And Raiders touchdown.
Raiders touchdown. That's exactly how they need. Less than 3 minutes to get that done, too.
And that is exactly what they needed to do, because if they did not score on this drive,
they need it right now. Yes.
The Chiefs probably turn it on and run away with it. Now we got it.
That is a woman's rib cage. That woman definitely had a rib cage.
And has not eaten a sandwich.
Well, the
now I'm excited about this woman's rib cage and her sandwich.
Yes, the high-paying job of a Las Vegas or any kind of NFL cheerleader. So.
Yes, she had a rib cage.
You want to talk abuse scandals? Jeez, the stuff that NFL cheerleaders go through is disgusting.
Yes, we were talking about that in a recent episode. So I went to speaking of that, and then Scott asked me, "What do you think of cheers?" Blah 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 blah. We had that full discussion. I'm willing to have it again, but I am going to take it to. I went to Sixer game this week, and they don't even have they used to I don't want to say at least, they used to have guys and women and then women's dance squad during the timeout entertainment. There was no all women's dance squad. Everything was mixed gender that they had, and everybody was fully clothed. Like, I don't think there's any bellies, let alone leg. And the entertainment was perfectly acceptable, fun, and exciting and engaging. So it can be done, especially in a sport where there's more opportunity for you to see the cheer. Like in football, I've been to football games, and people like, did you have what do you think there was cheerleaders? Like, I totally missed it. Where in the NBA, you can't miss it. I don't know what college is like, but in order in the NBA, every break, there's something going on to keep you engaged.
Yeah, I think it depends on the school for as far as how much cheerleaders they have. Bellies are gross. Bring back ankles.
It's the Allentown
ankles.
But yes, it's the Allentown Amish taking the field right now.
Ankles.
Actually, I was watching a YouTube video, but guys that spent like 48 hours with the Amish, the dude had a freaking cell phone. The Amish are not like the full level that everybody thinks they are. They have like a washing machine. You were allowed to have this stuff. You're just not allowed to use like modern conveniences to use it.
I think it depends on the group.
If it's a Mennonite, it's a little different.
Yeah, like Mennonites versus I forgot the other one. Of course, I don't know if Unique is still watching. She can correct me on this, since she went to school out in Lancaster.
Mennonite women.
So she like I forget which it is, but like one group used to drive the other ones around because the one group can't use they can't drive or do. They're more strict about the modern conveniences, similar to like Orthodox Jews versus Reform. Just like some people are more like any religious group. Some people are more strict about things than others.
Right. Yes, I live in a place with all three levels of Judaism, and on a Saturday morning, you will get to see some Jews walking to temple and other Jews cutting you off in their cars to get to temple.
Yep.
And 2 weeks until Hanukkah too. We're starting early this year.
Yes, it is. Yes. So we had a very big debate. I don't like Christmas creep. You like to hold it off to Thanksgiving, but with the date of Hanukkah, there might be some folks who want to put their Hanukkah decorations up pre-Thanksgiving, and it's hard to argue against that.
I can't fault you on that one. It feels weird to me. Hanukkah. That I don't know what's going to happen on this side of the fence if we're going to be doing anything this year. That family's not really up to doing Hanukkah this year after my father-in-law died. So whatever my mother-in-law, my wife decide they're going to do is what I'm going to do. And just like whatever.
Yeah. It's been my experience that in general, I've noticed this. If Hanukkah is too early, like it is this year, it affects the entire Christmas season, even for Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Jews who are not invested in Christmas at all, they're done. They're out.
Well, I had a roommate for a while who was Jewish, and where she wasn't really super religious, but just more like whenever her family did holiday stuff, she had to show up. And there was one year that Hanukkah was early, and she forgot about it. And she's like, "Oh crap! I don't have the money for gifts yet because that wasn't in my budget until next month."
Well, in this case, in Waldwick, we were probably like 95, 98% Christian. Catholic was the big one. I was raised Methodist initially, but we had, I think, like 3 Jewish kids in the school. Obie, I think you were one of the 3.
We had about 1 per grade.
Yeah, you and your brother. I don't remember if we had. We had a Jehovah's Witness in ours.
We had the Carnivogel brothers.
Okay.
And
we were like the whitest town you could find.
There's a woman who I don't know if she was Jewish in high school, but has obviously married a Jewish man and has a Jewish family. So I'm not going to call her out because I don't know. And I'm not Adam Sandler here. I'm not naming all the Jews.
For me, it was the opposite because I grew up I was one of the few Catholics in the town I grew up in.
Yeah, see, our town.
Now I classify myself as none of the above, but
yeah, I would say our town is probably 90% Roman Catholic and Italian. So it's amazing that we had such a small population.
But, yeah, they weren't practicing properly.
Apparently not.
But yeah, we definitely had a larger Catholic population in our town for sure.
Yep.
I even realized that I didn't quite fully grasp the difference between Catholicism and the rest of Christianity until I was a little older.
It looked like they were trying to rip Drawn Quarter Williams, there. Rip him limb. 4 Raider defenders trying to rip him limb from limb there. Yes, I think that is a roughing penalty.
The rack.
Just a little bit right there.
Yeah. The thing is, only the one guy who threw him only the guy right here who gets the penalty is truly roughing him. Everyone else is, looks like a legitimate tackle. Yeah, you look pretty bad there.
Nice pickup. It's a good little screen pass for about 15 or 16 right there. And suddenly, Kansas City's making some momentum, making some waves again.
Yeah, that's what you would figure. If you can't put them away, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's starting to look like, which is a nice thing if you're Kansas City, because you weren't that before. And now you're like, okay, now we get CEH back in a few weeks. And now you're regretting your OBJ choices. Although
the high-scoring game I was aiming for.
Pringle has stepped up nicely in the absence of not getting OBJ with 16 yards. I mean, it feels like more, but okay.
And the Raiders
fumble and a pickup,
which I didn't catch until I just saw him on the field before.
Mm-hmm. Tyreek Hill with a fumble and a quick pickup, all a flag on the play. Well, who was it? Was it Montgomery with the Bills before that fumbled the handoff? He transferred the ball from one hand to the other and probably dropped it.
Oh, that was a nice play by Tyreek Hill. That's a nice dropping catch. Elevator basketball play.
On the defense. Penalties declined. Second down. All right. Surprising on a first down that you turned down that. Because I think they're still short. What is it? 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3?
I believe it's about 2nd and 2.
Yeah, but Henrique had the fumble, probably picked it up and picked up another 3 yards afterwards. Yeah, 2nd and 2. So I'm surprised that they would take 2nd and 2 over 1st and 5.
And they're taking the yardage.
Yeah, but I'm saying you're losing the down in the process.
I mean, if it was 3rd down, I think it would go differently. But
doesn't matter. They got the first
there's
down
the
anyway.
2 yards.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a moot point at this point. So, but Kansas City is marching. Yeah, I don't even know what we're doing for Thanksgiving. We might even go to Boston Market this year. I don't think anybody has any desire to cook anything.
Yeah, my mom's working Thanksgiving, so we're trying to figure that out.
I used to work Thanksgiving when I was working as an alarm dispatcher in the mid-90s. It was all right. Yeah. Alarm dispatchers are nothing like the ADT commercials, though, because you're getting a bunch of people that are willing to get paid $7 an hour and work a midnight shift.
I worked in call centers for several years, so I can imagine how bad.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's nothing like you see like the dockers and the polo shirts and all these trim people that are no. It's like no, we're ordering from that pizza place again.
I worked for a health insurance company, and I worked for a company that was a third party sales company for cable companies.
Fan Jester fries a mean turkey.
I never even thought about it. Fried turkey.
That always scared me. Like, it's a great way to burn your house down. Like trying to fry it.
I never even thought about frying a turkey.
I used to fry them outside. Fan Jester has the inside house non-dangerous one.
Yeah.
Well, it's too cold to do outside then.
There was a
California thing.
There was a company that was in the same building as my job, where around Thanksgiving they would fry it. They would fry a turkey in the courtyard.
Okay. All right.
I fried a turkey in the snow one year. Snow and ice. It was great. Nice. But now I go to someone else's house and let them do it.
I've got the backyard. I can probably do it. Here's a stupid question. Can you do that in a fire pit?
If you can get your oil hot enough.
If you have a fire pit that can handle that high of heat and is big
enough,
and is sealed, doesn't it need to be like completely sealed?
I don't know a thing about.
No.
I thought about this till now.
Yeah. And a lot of people turn their garages down like that.
Well, what happens? The way you burn your house down with the fried turkey is you put a wet turkey in, the water boils, the flames come out, the oil comes out, goes down the side of the pot, and then it streaks to whatever the flame of the oil and the flame of what you're cooking. Boom. That's how you get the fire. So if you have an open fire, which mine does, it's an open flame, you have to make sure your turkey is dry, and you have to put it in slowly and carefully and take your time. Because as Fantastic says, you need an Ewok setup to lower the turkey in on a fire pit, because you have to get that oil up, and you need like a good 5,000 BTUs to get it up there. Because it's a huge pot. It's 5 gallons of peanut oil.
All right. Just like I said, I never considered it though. So the things you learn here.
Yeah, that's usually how it happens. Is that the turkey isn't thawed enough, so it'll go over. That's usually how it gets.
Interesting. So, but again, I don't even know what
people are dumb and try and fry it when it's still frozen or not thawed out enough, and that's how bad things happen.
Yeah, I always would have somebody on standby with a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, but like if it's an oil fire with open flame like gas or whatever, you need a special kind of fire extinguisher for that, don't you?
I'm glad I never found out.
Yeah.
Sure. And
People try to fry
and
turkeys that aren't
just
fully
sure.
defrosted, and they're distracted by terrible Cowboy football.
And Detroit
Terrible
football.
Lions
And
football.
terrible Lions football.
Because the Lions game is always early.
Though, yeah, you want to get it done. So
Yeah. So like you need, if you're not starting cooking until the Cowboy game at 4:00, that means you're not eating until like midnight.
well, see, Raiders Cowboys is good, and then the night game's not bad either. Bills visit the Saints.
It's probably because you're drunk watching the Detroit game. Like keep the wine coming. I'm watching the Lions.
Dude, I'm watching the Lions. And I never get Funkin' Thanksgiving.
Here we go. Fourth and goal.
Over the top.
Love
And
it.
touchdown.
Yep. There you go.
That's where you go for it on
Yep.
fourth down. But yeah, huge touchdown right there. The NFL.com website has failed to update it at this point. Still says it's 7 minutes and 50 seconds left. But I'm sure at some point they'll update it and say, like, oh yeah, by the way, they scored.
Kelsey. Gray. Who's this Gray guy?
Good catch.
It's not Kelsey or Hill, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
Covered bus
There's
stop.
enough alcohol. I'll be asleep by the night game.
Oh yeah, but you're passed out
Yeah.
by the time the Saints game starts. Usually after.
Well, that game ends at 11:30 at night, just like this one would.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we should let people know I'm not doing a Thanksgiving broadcast.
No.
I don't think we will that day. I'll figure it out, but I think honestly, we can let that one go that day.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess Unique's uncle built a bus shelter type thing to fry the turkey in.
Or for their fire pit. Why don't you go find out exactly what that means?
Well, suffice it to say, we're probably
Yeah.
not going to be doing that this year. So
Yeah.
What is this movie with Al Pacino and Driver?
I don't know. All I know is that Adam Driver in glasses looks really, really weird to me.
I think
Have you ever seen the SNL skit where Adam Driver is a college professor? Like
But I saw the one where the Star Wars one he did. But
yeah, and he's playing like an old college professor, and Pete Davidson is his son, and he's just chewing him out throughout the whole class.
no, I didn't. So I'm so far behind on SNL. I mean, it's really pathetic. When I saw Kate McKinnon doing those commercials, I completely forgot she was even in SNL.
I didn't
what?
know he was still on until recently. Because a lot of times, right when they get good is when they leave SNL.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's when the money starts to roll in.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, she did Ghostbusters and then obviously the Verizon commercial. But
You also forget Kenan Thompson was on SNL.
Kenan Thompson's going to be on SNL 30 years from now.
Kenan Thompson, I believe, is the longest tenured SNL cast member ever.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
He's been on like 15 years.
Right.
He's almost 20 now. I think he started in 2003.
Oh, was it that long? I thought it was like 2005, 2006.
Do not forget that his career started in sketch comedy as a young kid, though, too. Like, he knows how to do sketch comedy. That's what he does.
Well, that was the thing. It was just like, because he did all that, there was a whole big push for him. Like, well, he was basically on SNL for kids, so he should be on the real SNL when he's old enough.
Sure.
And eventually they did hire him, and he's been there ever since.
Yep.
Yeah, since 2003, he's been on it.
Wow.
Yeah. And before that, yeah, I mean, say all that, Good Burger and the rest. Good Burger is where I found him from initially.
See, I grew up in that era, so I watched all that all the time.
I like Good Burger. I don't care. I had so much fun with that movie.
I
actually watched that movie again recently.
I found him in, I think, an iCarly crossover with Victoria or Vic Justice, because I was watching that with my children. So. All right.
That explains that, and it's also If it's the uncle I'm thinking of, it's not surprising.
But I mean, I'm so far behind on SNL at this point anyway. I mean, I kind of stopped watching SNL when Jimmy Fallon had Nick Burns, the company computer guy. I was working in IT at the time. After that, I think I probably kind of tuned out SNL. So I'm a little behind on a lot of the people that are in there. But you know what happens when you get old.
I don't watch it regularly. I haven't watched it regularly since I was in high school. Which was the Will Ferrell years. So the Will Ferrell, Tina Fey, Jimmy Fallon years, and but like you fall down YouTube wormholes easily of like some of the better sketches and weekend updates and all. But when you watch an episode start to finish, that's when you realize just how bad a lot of the sketches are. A lot of hit or miss. Yeah. Yes. I mean, SNL's always been like that from the beginning. Go back and watch some of the early episodes from the 70s, and it's the same, and it's the same deal. With you remember the good ones, but there's a lot of bad ones that you can easily forget about and should be forgotten about. And that's why I think 30 Rock is so good, because it's all these people who wrote for SNL, were in SNL, and they're writing a show based on what it's like to write for SNL. And I thought 30 Rock was genius that way. I never really got into that show.
I never watched 30 Rock either, but I mean, I think Fanjexer is right on with the SNL on YouTube, and that's how I stay on top of it. You know which ones are the good ones because they're the ones with all the views.
Yes.
And usually on Monday in my news feed, it tells you which ones to watch, and then you get to catch things like Tom Hanks in Black Jeopardy, which was just unbelievably amazing when that happened.
That's a good one.
Well, here's my question. Since you mentioned YouTube, now that apparently YouTube is going to be getting rid of the dislike bar and the thumbs down bar, do you have any thoughts on that? Or did you hear about that?
I didn't hear about that. And why? Why
they're do that? They're trying to do it to avoid the dislike bandwagon. So like when what's her face had that song Friday, whatever her name was. Yeah, Rebecca Black, I think it was. I mean, you get on the thumbs down bandwagon. Officially, that's what they're trying to stop. What a lot of people, especially on Reddit, are thinking is that it has a lot more to do with the fact that people don't, companies don't want to get hate bombed, so they can have ads on there. Even if they do something really shitty, they can not get hate bombed for it when they have commercials that go up online. That's the Reddit belief right now.
So, that's probably closer to the truth of what it actually is.
That's what I'm thinking too. I mean, here's the thing. From certain perspectives, I don't entirely hate it. But from that perspective, yeah, I completely understand it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's interesting because I don't know when that's supposed to take effect, but the Reddit community and obviously the internet as a whole are just really
my goodness.
That's big right there. That is big right there.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a good chance now for Kansas City to really put a stranglehold on this.
And Deshaun Jackson still doing Deshaun Jackson things.
Dude, that man's going to be
not holding on to the ball, which is why he's been, 3 teams in the past year?
Some of it. Game over, man. Game over. Yeah, he's been around. Deshaun Jackson. Here's the thing. I think Deshaun Jackson's only been around like 13 or 14 years. He's 34.
And didn't he have 3 separate stints with the Eagles?
At least 2. At least
he's been playing since 2008.
Like there may have been a third one in there for like 5 minutes.
He's basically Eagles, Washington, Tampa, Eagles
on SNL.
What's that?
He's almost been playing as long as Kenan Thompson's been on SNL.
Yeah, right. Nobody. I think it's professional sports is playing that long. Eagles and then Washington, Tampa, Eagles again, Rams, and then Raiders this year.
And now Kansas City. Sorry.
Vegas, yeah.
Yeah. I still call them Oakland. Yeah.
And still call the Chargers San Diego.
They should be still San Diego. I don't think really people in LA care the Chargers are there. The Rams, I'll give you that one. Chargers, no.
I think of all of the teams I've ever seen move, that was the worst decision by any team ever to move, and you could see how bad of a decision it was long before they made it.
Well,
yeah.
The thing was, they did it. I think they did it thinking that they would force getting a stadium, because the original and here's the crazy part is that you had 3 teams trying to go to LA at the same time. Only 2 made it there, and none of the teams that ended up there are the team that LA actually wanted, which was the Raiders.
Sure. Yeah, the Raiders go back to LA again.
I think the Raiders in LA sounds nice, except that they're the Raiders. And the Raiders and the glitz of LA and the Raiders, I love this Raiders in Vegas. Like, we are the dirtiest team ever in football. We're playing in Vegas. Like,
also the Raiders fan base, because the Raiders have moved around, but from Oakland to LA, back to Oakland, now to Vegas, because they moved around so much and because they're a national brand, they don't have the issue, because fans will travel from wherever to go see them. So it doesn't matter.
What's interesting is that
while anytime a team moves and leaves its old city in the lurch, it's not good for that city. But at the same time, the Raiders can do it because they have such a big following. The
Raiders actually are.
The fans will just pack up their armor and drive to Vegas instead of Oakland.
But
if you want to go watch the Raiders, you fly in Friday night, you take Monday off. Make a weekend out of your Raiders game. Yeah, I believe one of my cousins is planning on doing that to go watch their team, the Eagles, go play in Las Vegas. I could be wrong, but I believe that's the game they're going to this year. You go ahead, you make a Vegas weekend out of it, and you watch your team. And if you're a Raiders fan, that's super easy. As I was saying to Scott before you came on, JD, I have a lot of trouble with the Chargers, I say San Diego. I have a lot of trouble with the football team. I keep saying that other name.
Yeah.
But the Raiders, I don't associate with the location. So I'm never saying LA, Oakland, they're the Raiders. They don't have a place, which is what you kind of said.
Here's the interesting thing. The Raiders are actually the 5th worst in attendance this year, because they're actually only averaging 60,000 fans a game right now, and 93%.
I believe is more because of the economic realities of Vegas, and also not as many people traveling.
You think? Okay, yeah, because they're towards the bottom of the pile there. I mean, if they were still in Oakland, they'd be putting up much better numbers than that.
Now you're
probably
saying
have even worse numbers if they were still in Oakland.
So, Scott, those numbers you're showing, they're at the bottom by count or by percentage of seats?
Both.
Okay.
If you're going by percentage of seats, they're 23rd overall at 93%.
Okay.
Pass over the middle, and
isn't that better than the Giants? Aren't the Giants like 89%?
No, Giants. I'm sorry, Giants are 89.6. Yeah, and the Jets are 88 too.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But as a twist, they're also towards the top on overall attendance. The Giants are 4th in average attendance. The Jets are 6th. They can pack so many in the stadium. Yeah, Dallas is number 1 at 93,000 per game.
And what about their percent?
Their percentage is 93.4, so that's probably closer to the bottom.
Yeah, because I think it's 100. I think it's 100
22nd
that fits in that stadium.
It basically would work out that way. Yeah, it's 100,000 people. That's insane that 93,000 people would go to a stadium like that.
And who has the highest percentage?
Kansas City, I think we talked about recently.
Denver.
I think it was one of the previous games we had this conversation.
Denver's at 100.4. Kansas City second at 100.3.
Yeah, I knew there was 1 or 2 who was over 100% capacity, which I don't know how that happens, but okay.
Minnesota is 3rd at 100.3.
I guess the fire marshal looks the other way. I don't know. Or
they sell standing room. They sell capacity of seats, and they sell standing room tickets.
Or one of those things
true.
where
Some teams
they auto-inflate the numbers a little bit.
Yeah, no, but there are teams that sell standing room tickets. I know the Phillies do that for their games. I don't know about the Eagles.
The Phillies sell out enough that they need standing room only?
No, but if you
don't sell out, but they do sell standing room tickets, because I remember I looked into going to a game there a few years ago, and a Mets Phillies game there a few years ago, and then thought better of it. And that was one of the options when I was looking at tickets.
So what they have in the
if you could
stadium,
stand in like a bar area in the outfield.
yeah, there's like this section that wraps a level. It might be the mezzanine that wraps all the way around the stadium, and then they have the seats, and then behind the seats they have a bar you can kind of lean on, and I believe those are the standing room seats. If Van Jexter's listening, I'm pretty sure he knows exactly where the standing room seats are, but I think that's how it works. So you get your food, you can sit, you can lean on this bar, but somebody else who got food might be leaning on the bar before going back to their own seats.
All right. Good. And third down and very long at this point, but closing in on the end of the third quarter too.
The Mets are 3-1 in games, by the way, I've been to at the Citizens Bank Park.
Nice. I don't know what the Mets
I
have done
get to
pretty
go
well
to a game
after
down there, and how bad is the experience as a Mets fan in Philly? I can't imagine it being very good.
Oh, no, it's not at all bad.
Really?
No. It's not like you're going to an Eagle game. No, it's a pleasant experience. We make up about 25% of the stadium when we're there. It's totally great.
How recent was it?
The last time I went to a game there, it was actually I went wearing my. You're gonna know the date after I tell you the story. I went wearing my Gary Carter throwback jersey, and they were not playing the Mets, but Santana pitched his no-hitter. Yep, I was in Citizens Bank Park when Santana pitched his no-hitter.
Interesting. So what? 2006 was that?
No, it was like
2009.
2011, 2012.
Yeah.
So it was a pleasant experience back then. Okay, I figured now would probably be okay because nobody gives a crap about the Phillies.
Baseball is a softer sport anyway that way.
Well, yeah, but like I'm thinking of like the World Series teams, like the Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins teams.
That's when I would go the most. That's when I went to most of the games I went to. When the Mets were.
Yeah, because I know some people who had bad experiences as a Mets fan in the stadium around the time.
I never once had a problem there as a Met fan.
Yeah.
I think the Flyers would be a bigger issue. Of course, the Eagles.
Oh, sure.
Flyers and Eagles for sure, but Yeah, part of moving down to Philly is realizing that my Scott Stevens jersey is the most dangerous item of clothing I own to wear to a sporting.
Oh boy, yes.
To a sporting
event.
You get punched for that one.
I was shocked
more than
about.
punched. I mean, they'll beat a Ranger fan within an inch of their life in the line at Geno's for wearing a Rangers jersey.
I was absolutely shocked about the level of Flyer fandom when I moved down here. I was prepared for the Eagle thing, and remember I came down here as a Cowboy fan. I was prepared for that. No idea that if I said, well, I live in New Jersey, so I like the Devils, that they were going to kill me. Like, that's the first team I get out. I mean, I live outside Philly. I like the Flyers. I'm sorry. I need to get home to my family.
Yeah, New Jersey. The Devils are Jersey's team, but they don't actually. But most of the fan base is not, for Jersey's team. The Rangers up here and then Flyers down there. There's a little tiny pocket of Devils fans that we are, all 9 of us.
Yeah. No, and the Phillies are the last team I'm going to pick up. Like, I'm not picking up the Phillies. It's going to be the Mets or not. But I came down already. I was a Sixer fan. That was like a natural thing for me. But Flyers were quick to jump on board because it wasn't worth not rooting for them. I fought the Eagle thing for quite some time. We went over why I gave up on the Cowboys. And then now, never going to put on the red and white pinstripes. I'm just not interested. And there's no, like, I feel like Van Jexter said, and like I said, my experience is there's no reason to. It's just.
Growing up a huge Devils fan, I don't see myself switching.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Eagles. I can do Eagles. I can do Eagles. I can do Sixers. I like the Sixers. But Flyers is a tough one for me.
The Eagles.
Phillies more just because of the lingering hate that I have as a Mets fan for the Phillies and those those Chase Utley, Ryan Howard Philly teams.
Are you sure you just don't hate yourself? Are you sure you just don't hate yourself?
I'm a Mets fan and Jets fan. Clearly, I kind of do.
So one of the things about fandom that I've learned having moved and now lived here for 20 years, that is so true. And JD, I know you just started this transplant process, and we'll see where it goes.
Yes, that is the one common thing between all of them is that is at least we can all agree the Penguins suck.
Is that you don't realize how much of being a fan is about being, like for me, the reason I most likely won't give up being a Mets fan is that those friends who I would go to Mets games with as season ticket holders, I'm still friends with them. So that community still exists. But I was like a lone Cowboy fan when I was up north anyway. And I came down here, I was used to being a lone fan, but now I just got to get used to, now I'm part of the community. Being part of the community is being part of fandom. Like, okay, this is my new community. These are whole new people, right? Most of those North Jersey friends are more distant than to see them on Facebook. And the more of the community I'm part of is these Philly, Eagle, Flyers, Sixers fans, the more I get kind of sucked in. And, we've talked ad infinitum about the problems with baseball, and that's another reason why I'm not going to get sucked in there. But apparently I'm getting sucked into F1 and go Hamilton.
Derek Carr throws it away, so now it's suddenly 3rd down and 7 with 20 seconds left in the third quarter. KC's starting to pull away. What's that?
I'm more team for stopping on racing, but I haven't gotten into racing enough yet.
Yeah, Tom Karwacki sent me a message earlier. He's like, I wore my McLaren shirt for good luck. Now I may have to burn it.
Although if the Phillies get better and the Mets continue being the Mets, it'll be interesting how we'll see.
Yeah, but Philly is not going to get better. I mean, that Bryce Harper contract's going to kill him for a while. This ball's thrown as
their lack of pitching is what kills them.
Well, see, that also, you throw a Hail Mary into quadruple coverage. That's usually not how things are going to work out. And Kansas City now has the ball back.
And another Carr interception, more negative fantasy points. Yeah. 27-14, just about end of the third quarter.
Yeah, so this is Kansas City is actually what I kind of figured Kansas City would be able to do. And
this now we got Kansas City defense where Kansas City defense wants to be. That's the whole point of their whole team, their whole style is let's just go ahead and go crazy rushing the passer, and they can because you're not putting them away. Does Jacobs even? I feel like I haven't even seen Jacobs touch the ball this game. Yeah. So it's an ugly situation for them for sure.
Yeah, and this is a good chance, like I said, to put this thing down because Mahomes is already over 300 yards with 30 completions. So he is vintage Mahomes again. They don't have to run the ball because the passing game has been so strong. Right. Now at this point, if they get another touchdown, go up by 20, then you can start opening up the run game and just burn the rest of this clock here.
Can I just take my kudos here that everyone said they had to run the ball because the running defense was no good. I was like, Reed ain't going to do that. He's going to throw the ball. He's going to take advantage of the coverage.
I don't remember saying that. Did I say that?
No, I said Patrick
Mahomes is going to restore himself.
I'm patting myself on the back for saying, nope, all the prognosticators say they're going to run the ball. That's just not what Reed does.
Just be careful you don't hurt your shoulder, patting yourself.
Oh, no, I'm hurting it. I got this.
It's worth the pain. It's worth the pain.
Good call, Obie, on how this game was going to. Hey, there were 16 games today. I got one right. Yay, I'm awesome.
Hey, you know what? Be proud of that.
Yeah.
We did better this week than we did last week.
Yeah.
Our picks last week there was like a billion upsets on that game. On that week.
Hey, and I will give you and Eduardo credit. You both went out on a limb picking an upset this week, the same game, but you did miss it.
Which one was that?
You guys both took the Saints to take care of the Titans, where I said nope. The Titans
did not happen. Yes, it's close though.
It was close.
Yeah. Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg? I don't think Whoopi Goldberg is any team's weak.
No, I'm looking. Who Fallon has on this week?
So who do you think is each team's weakest links? All teams are two teams that are playing right now.
Yeah, basically, you want to do. I mean, the question is, I mean, that's pretty wild right there. Each team's weakest link.
Well, let's not go crazy here. Let's talk about let's start with let's just do the contenders. So let's ignore the game we're watching. Let's talk about Dallas. What is Dallas's weakest link?
Hit the send button on the mouse. No.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, Dallas's weakest link. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're
times.
Well, here's the thing. I'll say this about Dallas. The issue with Dallas is the fact that they play in a remarkably weak division.
Yes.
You know,
so their weakest.
So many easy wins right there off the bat.
So their weakest link is we don't know how good they really are.
That's my question. Yeah, I mean, listen, you put them up against, okay, they stood toe to toe with say Tampa, for example. That game easily they could have won that game, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't see them as being good enough to go to the Super Bowl this year. I see Dallas as a team that's able to get to the AFC Championship, and I think they should get to it this year. But I don't think they're going to be able to win it.
You have yes. Go on for that. I think I kind of agree with you. Where I think Dallas's weakest link is we just don't know how good they are.
Yeah.
So next team I'm looking at here that's a definite Super Bowl contender is Buffalo.
Giants, Danny Dimes, boy.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no to that. I'm going to go a little bit in a different direction here. And I'm going to say Saquon. Because Saquon, they've relied on him to be the supplement to Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has not been bad. He's been better this year than last year, the year before. But they relied on a healthy Saquon to be able to offset that. And obviously that hasn't happened. Is this his last year in New York? 30% says yes, 70% no. I was going to say, yeah, Fran Jackson was just quarter of their schedules against crap teams. More than that, actually 6 out of 17, however the math works out, over a third. NFC East alone is just it's a weak it's a weak league. But my feeling as far as the Giants go, I don't think Daniel Jones is it, and I think a year ago I would have said differently.
I think that it's hard. I think that the Giants' weak link is probably their injury situation, including Barkley. Yeah. I don't know who's playing wide receiver each week. Tony's playing. Looks like a decent pickup. Slayton, the other guy whose name begins with I don't even know their names.
Another one, so.
Yeah, they're all just it's just their offense. Their weapons are constantly hurt. Ingram can't stay on the field for seasons. It is just that was a fake punt. Okay. I'm like, good job on the fake punt.
If I had to pick something, we went back to Dallas for a sec. They had the most explosive offense, but they do give up a lot of yards on defense. It's a good team. It's a better Dallas team than we've seen in the past. But I just looked up the stats on it. They're 21st in the league right now in total yards given up on from a defensive side of things. That is a red flag there.
So, without knowing what's going to happen, the Cowboys, nice thing for the Cowboys is that I believe that comes December, they're looking at getting both Gregory and Lawrence back, which should help them against teams with strong passing attacks.
True.
No one in the NFC really is a strong running team, except for maybe Tampa Bay. So I think that they're going to be in a nice position if they can continue to win. I think Buffalo's weakness, I'm going to say, is that I don't know if they have a real second receiver after Diggs.
Mm-hmm. That's a team that runs on its defense. Lowest number of total yards in defense. But they have a good setup there. I mean, they got Montgomery. They got a few players in there. And Josh Allen, last week notwithstanding, has been solid, I think, throughout the year. But again, you're looking at a team that's arguably playing in a pretty weak division. New England's on its way up. You can't argue that at all. But not as bad as the NFC East. But the AFC East is pretty weak in its own right because you have 4 winnable games right there off the bat. Mahomes throwing for jump ball and Who came down with? Oh, is that a touch? Oh my God, is this a touchdown?
Yep.
Pulled the ball right out of his hands.
So I didn't see this play, but these were the plays that always went Kansas City's way and Mahomes' way for 3 years and weren't going his way this year. And it sounds like this one goes.
And Mahomes now has 4 touchdowns on the game. I told you. It's like I said, So, yeah, that ball.
Like I said he could still go 15-15 this year when we were talking this morning. Like he could. Like
that was pure Williams. Williams had to pull that ball away and be able to hold on to it.
That was a horrific pass. Like I'm sorry. These are the things that Mahomes gets away with. Looks like Williams is open and the coverage gets to him because Mahomes doesn't have the juice on the ball, but still, it's a horrible pass.
It was not a great pass, but that's sometimes you get those sort of things. It was a rollout. He threw it from 1 foot.
No.
I actually thought he was going to run the ball on 3rd and 11 because he was real close to. Yeah, see, he was behind the line of scrimmage. I was wondering that too if he crossed the line of scrimmage, but apparently he didn't. But that's the touchdown that you needed to really put this game away.
Yep.
Right now it's 19.
Laughing, cheering, like on myself.
Yeah. So this is going to put a lot of pressure on Derek Carr to try and cover this. 34, 22, 30. Yeah. Yeah, see, you would need 3 touchdowns regardless, even if you get 2-point conversions. So the run game opens up. Kansas City can start burning clock. And if this stays the way it is, this is the definitive win, the biggest win I think you could say that Kansas City had. And this is a very, very big exclamation mark on this.
All right, so now New England.
Mm-hmm.
What's their weakness?
Oh, yeah, by JD. Uniquely Me was kind of like, what is each team's biggest weakness? So we're getting them at random here.
Yeah, are we are we going in any kind of order for which team?
Yes, we are going in the order of I'm looking at today's scores and looking at the teams I consider strong playoff, if not Super Bowl contenders. So we've covered the Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills, and now throwing New England right at you, JD, because besides just being New England and you hating them, what is their thank you, Uniquely Me.
Their biggest weakness is probably I think it's Mac Jones. He's good, but he's still a rookie. Like if you had an experienced quarterback there, they would be a more dangerous playoff threat. I mean, you can never count them out because they're the Patriots. But like their offensive weapon and their offensive playmakers aren't particularly impressive to me. They just get it done. Like they don't have the talent that a team like Kansas City has, where they just have better players at most offensive positions. They're just well coached and a better team. I had a feeling that they would turn it on this year, especially after going 7-9 last year. I mean, they went 7-9 last year probably because half the defense opted out. So now with those players back, once they got chemistry, I figured that they would go on a run. And also, I wasn't really sold on Buffalo being as good as they were last year. I do think both are playoff teams. Yeah, no real weapons. Exactly. I don't think that the Patriots have any real weapons on offense where you're thinking, oh, we have to stop this guy because he'll torch us. They don't really have a player like that. And that's why I don't consider the Patriots a Super Bowl contender. I think they're probably a playoff team, but not vintage Super Bowl team.
Probably not with the Chargers and even the Titans and the Ravens and all of the teams that are in there.
You can make a case for any one of about 10 teams in the AFC possibly going to the Super Bowl. It's about who gets hot at the right time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of these teams I'm throwing at you guys are going to be from the AFC. I believe it's Mac Jones because I think that the no real weapons is legitimate, but we've seen great quarterbacks work with no real weapons, and we've seen them work with no real weapons in New England, no less. So I'm going to go with Mac Jones because he has no real weapons, he's the weakness. If that makes sense.
It's one thing for Brady to make players around him better. He made a lacrosse player into a number one receiver seriously. But Mac Jones, a rookie, is not going to do that.
No.
Yet.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they are middle of the pack as far as goes, but you saw the numbers he put up today. The team is now won 4 straight, and out of nowhere, they're half a game out of first in the AFC East.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody expected that one to happen. I predicted 10-7 for them, so I'm so far kind of on point with that. But boy, that pick didn't look good in the beginning of the year. But they could conceivably still win the AFC East. I think it's possible.
Could.
Yeah, Unique and I were trying to get Unique up to speed on sports, and we were trying to explain division winners versus wild card teams for playoff position earlier.
Okay, so this one is I'm going to say this one is maybe also like New England. They may not even be in the race anymore. The team New England beat today. What is Cleveland's biggest weakness? And to me, I'll take this first, and it's just absolute positively inconsistency at quarterback. As I said earlier today, if instead of this crazy up and down that Baker plays with, if he could play at 75%, 100% of the time, it'd be better than this 120, 115, 75, 30, like. So
that's been his career all along now.
Mayfield's game is getting to the point where it is Winston-esque, I'd say, where he's very very much like Jameis Winston, where a boom or bust type player. That's what Baker Mayfield is turning out to be. You know,
here's what's curious.
As that guy was tackled so hard, his shoe came off.
That ball's off the fingertips, too. That should have been caught.
Oh. Look at Fan Jexter redirecting the same conversation. So I'm going to say I refuse to answer this. I save the right to change my answer tomorrow after I see what the Rams look like with OBJ. But at this point, I think the healthy Cardinals are the best team in the NFC.
I don't agree.
I know you don't agree.
No, I would probably go with LA right now. And not even talking OBJ. I'm talking Von Miller and playoff experience. And Derek Carr's throwing it down Hail Mary again, and nobody caught up to the ball before it landed. He threw that ball at 40, 50 feet in the air, and nobody caught it by the time it landed. That was a desperate. That was a Danny. I want to say, Daniel Jones or Danny Cannell kind of a throw right there.
It's hard to do that when you have two defensive linemen in your face. You're not going to get an accurate pass out.
But in this case here, sometimes you shouldn't even take the pass.
Yeah,
I mean the only player is within 10 feet of that ball.
He just chucked it.
Yeah, but the only player within 3, there was 3 players inside that ball, and all of them were Kansas City.
And now, after making that,
why would you punt here down by 20?
3 and out, maybe.
I agree, Fan Jexter. I still think that it is until proven otherwise. It's the Bucs team. It's the Bucs Super Bowl lose.
I think
so.
It's possible, but
the Bucs have lost 2 in a row.
Still. Don't count them out. That's Tom Brady.
Yeah. Well, wait. You already did count them out on this question. You picked the Rams. So
no. I'm talking in the NFC West. I thought you were talking the division.
No, he says who wins NFC.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I stand corrected. No, I was talking the NFC West. I missed that part of it. I apologize. No, the NFC West. I think it goes to LA. I still think the Bucs do win because you can't count out Tom Brady. And if anything is going to be able to right that ship, it's going to be playing the Giants at home on a national stage Monday night and really just bitch slapping my team around. What's going to happen to the Giants is exactly what happened to the Jets today with Buffalo. They had a bad loss last week, and they just took the Jets to town. The same thing is going to happen where the Giants are going to come off a bye. Granted, a little extra, they got a little extra time to relax and recharge. But Tampa is pissed today. And they are going to take it to the Giants next week. And it is going to be ugly. And if we're covering that, you can watch my misery live.
So here's what I'm going to say. You're going with don't count the champ out till he's gone. And he is Tom Brady, and betting against Tom Brady is stupid. Tom Brady this season has done something that Tom Brady has not done in maybe 5 years. And that's gone 6-7 games without looking old. The first half of today's game, he looked old. Second half, whatever he did at halftime, he got revitalized. It was too little, too late. the defense didn't pick him up enough. Scary Terry made some nice catches. Heineke made some nice runs. They didn't win the game. I still say they won the Super Bowl last year despite Tom Brady. Everyone forgets that he had the 3-pick game. The defense picked it up for him.
And a partially torn ACL, I believe, too.
That was not a torn ACL. It wasn't bad. It was a knee. I think it was an MCL.
It was a knee. Okay. It was something like that, but he played the entire season with it.
Yes, he played the entire season with it. So I mean, the brain says
that Tampa Bay deal.
He had to go eat some. He had to go get some more children's souls at halftime to get the second win.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Right. So I'm not sitting here. I mean, it's hard to make the argument against him, but the reality is, if he has a bad half against a team that doesn't have a bad half at the same time, where does that put him? Mm-hmm. And and in the playoffs, although Fanjexter says it's just practice for Brady, he will have a bad half at some point during the playoffs. If that bad half is not matched, like at the same time by the other team, if the Rams have a good half, if Arizona has a good half, if Rodgers is having a good half, if Dak is having a good half, I don't know that the second half will be something that we can count on Brady to come back from. So that, when I say I'm not counting him out, I'm counting on one of these other teams to play full 60 minutes. And I'm counting on that being Arizona. Maybe it's part of me that wants to feel a good story, wants Brady to be done.
The entire team wants Brady to be done for 5 years, and he just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wanted Brady to be done because you're a Jet fan and it hurt. I love watching Brady be great. I do. At the end of every year going, how did we miss it? Or there were years where people were counting him out early.
At this point, now that he's on the Bucs, I can appreciate the greatness a little more at this point, just because it's almost comical.
You don't have to face him anymore.
Don't have to face him anymore. I mean, the Jets are garbage no matter what, so it doesn't really matter playing the Patriots, with or without Brady, or whatever team Brady's on, doesn't really matter. But like there was an article I read that made a case that you could split up Brady's career into 3 parts: his 20s, 30s, and 40s, and each one is a Hall of Fame career by itself.
Yeah.
And if you look at the number breakdown, there's definitely an argument for it. Like, he has just as many touchdowns since he's turned 40 than Roger Staubach had his whole career. I mean, yes, part of that is with how different the game is played now, but just part of Brady's career is better than several Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You could do the same. Yes. And that is what makes him one of the absolute greatest of all time. Barry Bonds is saying the same thing. I was a Hall of Famer before I used steroids. So why am I not in the Hall of Fame? But I mean, I am interested in seeing, how Brady does over the course of the rest of this year. I mean, I don't see New Orleans catching them. So there's that. They're a playoff team, for sure.
Needs to catch them was today, and they blew it.
Yes. And I don't see them as – I don't know who the number 1 seed is. They're probably the team that needs the number 1 seed the most in a way because of Brady's age. But I don't know that they need – look, I'm not here going, there's no way it's going to happen. Like, as Fanjexter, I think it was, who said it earlier, there is so much parity. The only good thing about the parity is there's only 5 teams for him to put up here at this point in the NFC. We could go, I think JD used to 10 deep in the AFC, and I'm not going to argue with you. Like, the wild card team that come out, other than these teams here, like if Seattle makes it, which they're probably not now, or New Orleans makes it, who's afraid of New Orleans? No one. Like, that's not happening.
Yeah, you're not afraid of Trevor Siemian
or 30 plus,
or Hill beating, or Taysom Hill beating you.
Right. I gotta look who else Minnesota, if they come out, you're not worried about it. It's the Rams, it's Arizona, it's Tampa, Green Bay, and Dallas. Minnesota, whoever else makes it in. If it's Minnesota, New Orleans, Carolina, they're fodder, which is great. It actually is great. In the AFC, we're not going to say that. We're going to say those, the loser of this game is a tough beat. The San Diego Chargers is a tough beat, assuming the winner of this game wins the division. I don't know. You don't know what team is going to show up from Indianapolis. And then you got New England and the whole North are all good teams, like Burrows and which Mayfield's going to show up. And what happens if Ben is playing? And, did we mention what's Lamar doing, who somehow lost this week? It's the AFC is just crazy. The NFC is these 5 teams that I think we can all kind of agree. Is it 6 teams? I mean, would you utter any other name besides these 6 teams? Or would you take – he put the Saints. I'm taking the Saints out of it. Those 5 teams that FanJexter named, I'm going to take the Saints out and say it's one of those 5 teams, and I would put money on that.
And Mahomes sprinkle another touchdown. And
I was going to say, in case you're putting money on Mahomes here. So now it's 40-14.
And you mentioned about Brady having a bad half. If he has a bad half and another quarterback has a good half, that could be where they get in trouble. Because he did have a bad half in the playoffs last year against the first half against the Saints in the division. Right. The problem was Drew Brees had a worse half. And that was the game. And that was one of those games where you just watch it, one of those games that it's kind of sad to watch, where you're watching this player is just done. And that was how I felt watching Brees in that game. Same as I felt watching Marino when the Dolphins were getting blasted 62-7 by Jacksonville in the playoffs, 1 year.
And that's why I say they won the Super Bowl despite Brady last year, because that Saints game, if it was any of the quarterbacks of the other teams that we have listed here, do we kind of expect that they're going to be able to pull through and take advantage of that situation? They may not. I mean, that Bucs defense last year was spectacular, but
I think Super Bowl at home helps too.
Yeah. So, but I think if you spot any one of these other 4 teams that kind of half, especially the Rams defense, if the Cowboys are running Gregory and Lawrence at you, the Cardinals defense, and I think if you give Rodgers a good half, he's going to give you he's going to continue in the second. He's the one I have the most faith on over a whole game of all these quarterbacks. So that's where I think that. But is it possible he doesn't have a bad half in the playoffs? Of course it's possible. And other than Rodgers, there's not a quarterback of those rest of those that I want having the ball with 30 seconds left and needing a field goal or a touchdown. I'd take Rodgers over Brady in that situation, but nobody else who's playing today in the NFL. Nobody, including Mahomes, in that give me less than a minute and needing a field goal.
Well, Mahomes, however, today, if he's on your fantasy league, boy, you're going to be happy as hell. 35 for 50, 406 yards, and 5 touchdowns with no picks. So, for the haters out there, do you feel a little bit better right now? Is this more vintage Mahomes that you were expecting?
Carr had, and for the record, Carr's numbers are 204 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Carr has never sold me. Carr feels very Matt Ryan to me, But
he's Ryan with not as good of numbers. Like Ryan put up kind of gaudier stats in his career than Carr had. Carr is a decent quarterback, but not a great quarterback. I mean, he's better than anybody the Jets have had, for a long time now. But
what are the Jets? What are the Jets?
Not like top half of he's like middle of the pack.
When you look at the Jets, since you mentioned, obviously Mike White fell to earth in this case, and the Mike White bandwagon's kind of over after the day he had. Do you go with him next week, or do you get Flacco a shot?
I may go back to Wilson if he's ready.
Yeah, sure.
Depending on his
I don't know if he was ready
injury status. That's a good question about the Rams. Does OBJ ruin the locker room? That is a good question for anywhere that he goes. The question is, does he go in still expecting to be, the man, or will he go in and actually keep his mouth shut, similar to Randy Moss when he joined the Patriots? Because you could there's a similar career trajectories of Moss and Beckham.
I think he could, but I think it'll take longer than he would have had elsewhere. I think now that he's a little bit older, he's seen his career go downhill a lot. He knows he's not the talent that he was expected to be. So he might be a little more patient.
Does he, though?
What's that?
He was blaming Baker Mayfield for all his problems in Cleveland.
I want to give the kid the benefit of the doubt. I do. I want to see that he does well there. But again, if he goes 2 or 3 games without, a lot of targets, is he going to gripe about it? Is he going to complain?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that his effect on Baker is so overstated, and his complaining about Baker is so overstated. I do. I mean, this is what I think about. We now know that he has to be traded before the season began. We did not find out he has to be traded before the season began until after he wasn't traded at the trade deadline. That is a lot not to go crazy about when you think about some of these other guys who want to get traded and you know about it. And can I please tell you about Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Deshaun Watson, who all they did this offseason started yo, trade me, make the
Raiders cold streak, the third longest division winning drought in the NFL because they haven't won a division since 2002. Tied for third longest in the league. I happen to know the team that they're tied with for the third longest. It is, of course, the Jets.
Your Jets.
I'm curious. I got to think about who would be the longer teams, though. Who has a longer division drought without a division since than the Raiders and Jets. Got to think about that.
Little body slam, by the way, on that last play.
Yeah.
As the clock continues to run.
I'm going to turn. While you guys think about that, I'm going to turn the clock back to Carr. On this, I'm on a site that has their own quarterback ratings. It's as good as anybody else. It's It's basically mathematically determined.
Is it that QBR ESPN thing?
No,
I can't figure out the QBR thing.
Derek Carr is just above the average line in the AFC West, and he's 11th overall among quarterbacks in the NFL on this list, which I think is about what you said, JD. That's the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
And I did not count where Ryan falls to, but he falls just below the average in the NFC West, and he would be below Derek Carr's value on this list.
Yeah, like I said, Derek Carr and Matt Ryan always felt very similar to me. I think somebody may actually view Baker Mayfield the same way.
Yeah. By the way, on this list, the 3 best quarterbacks separated by 2 total points are – 3 points differentiates the first from the third. This site has Prescott, Brady, Allen. Again, it's all about pretty much this year, so –
Prescott, Brady, and who?
Josh Allen.
Oh, okay. 6:21 remaining.
My guess, Detroit is one of those teams.
Yeah.
Division championship drought. I'm trying to figure out who the other one is.
Texans?
Jacksonville, maybe Jacksonville.
Derek Carr has had 2 passes in a row just batted down, and now it's 4th down and 2.
Bengals?
No, I think they won the AFC North during one of their failed playoffs runs. I think they won. I thought they won a division. I think they won a few division titles. They just lost in the first round of the playoffs every year.
Okay.
Actually, I know for a fact they won a division championship because when in the 2009 Jets playoff run, when they made the first AFC championship game, they played the Bengals in the first round. So that was for in order to be a Cincinnati home game, they had to have won the division because they played in week 17 and the Bengals had already clinched the division and they basically rolled over for the Jets to win. And then the Jets won that game and then beat them in the playoffs the next week. I was at that game. That was the last game at Old Giant Stadium.
So I'm going to go back to Moss is one of many clubhouse cancers that went to a new team only to find success. Now, granted, a few of these guys are going to be Patriot Way guys. Corey Dillon was another guy who went somewhere else. Now, I don't know. Some people will say Owens was a cancer even in Dallas. I'm not sure if he was. His career did come to an end there. Pretty much his value as a good player ended. And so then that may be how you see it or not.
Kansas City is Dallas at home next week. That'll be a good one.
Yes. I mean, I think that game's bigger for Dallas because now that Kansas City got this win, they can lose the Dallas game and then go on and take care of the rest of the AFC. Whereas if Dallas can get that win, everybody will stop going, well, they're in the shitty division.
By the way, I just want to point out on the 538 article, Obie, that you had, Dwayne Haskins rates higher than both Zach Wilson and Mike White and just a hair under Joe Flacco.
I believe it.
Steelers backup, yeah.
Steelers third stringer because Rudolph was playing today.
Mike Glenn ranks higher than all the Jets players on there.
Again, not surprising. And these actually, sadly, are players who I wanted the Jets to pick up recently because of that exact reason. Well, like they probably don't suck as much as players they have, so why not?
But you don't know.
I had that thought about Mike Glennon a few years ago.
If you were a free agent, would you want to go to the Jets right now? I mean, it would take a heck of a lot to be able to say, yes, I'm going to sign off on that contract.
As a quarterback? Only if they're paying.
In general, I would just say in general, but okay, a quarterback too.
I mean, I don't know if that plays into effect with NFL players as much as it does in other sports because the career is so short. So if you're looking to get paid, a lot of these guys only have one chance at getting that big contract. So you're going to take it from whoever.
Yeah.
So if the Jets are overpaying, then yes, the Jets will get that player. But if it comes down to similar money numbers between two teams, they're going to pick the other team over the Jets, as they should.
That's a fair point. Okay.
I'm going to go back. I glossed over the Jets starting quarterback next week. I'm thinking I'm not going to Flacco. I'm not winning. Let me see if I don't feel like Wilson is healthy enough to play. Well, let me keep seeing what Mike White's got. I mean, he's probably the quarterback we saw the second time, not the first time, but he's there and he's worth looking at.
He also got hurt.
Getting by playing Flacco.
That's the other thing about Mike White. Mike White has been hurt in all three games.
Yeah,
he left the game with an injury in all three games he's played.
Never mind.
It's not good.
Touchdown is overturned. Even the Raiders still can't get a touchdown. At this point, I don't know if we were even paying much attention to this game. It's only got 2:39 left.
It's 41-14 with 2.5 minutes left.
Yeah, I know. It's like
I'm just rooting for
point, it's almost like root for
a garbage time touchdown for Carr for my fantasy points. That's
root for clock.
I honestly stopped watching from the moment I started asking what are the weaknesses in teams. I apologize to anyone who thought that this game at this point was the thing that we should be focusing on.
At least nobody's bitching us out this time. That's something, right?
Yeah.
Usually you're not talking about the game. It's like, that's why I have it. Basically, react. That's why the new thing basically is like reactions, ramblings, and commentary.
Yes.
If you see the thumbnails that I create for all of these things, it always has the word rambling in there because we were talking about like insurance and investments before. I forget, JD, when you first came on, we were talking about something out of left field. I forgot what it was there too.
Oh
yeah, the Ryan Reynolds movies.
It was vision, and like LASIK surgery. And
that's right. Yeah, that was a good one right there. So, but yeah, 3rd down and goal, 2.5 minutes left. Let's go, clock. Yeah, at this point, I'm just hoping for the ball to stay in bounds. And Derek Carr goes down. Oh yeah, that's
That's
Kansas City.
that's
Chiefs Nation is absolutely.
that is a heck of a sack dance.
Oh yeah. You know
Well,
what?
I can't wait.
Yes, I yawn.
Oh, that's a nice sack too, though, to get off the center like
Yeah.
that.
Well, next week's a big one. because
Another
the
thing
Chiefs
for
are
the
playing at
Raiders
home against
being
the Cowboys.
much of a shit show as they are this year, especially after the Henry Ruggs situation last week, and that
And nearly pickle.
brutal for the people that he killed, with his stupid decisions.
Ooh.
In addition to the whole Gruden stuff, the Raiders, it was unsustainable with all the other junk going on.
Well, next week the Raiders are at home against the Bengals. The Chiefs are at home against Dallas. So that's a big one right there. And then the Raiders play the Cowboys later on Thanksgiving night.
I'm wondering if the Bengals are for real.
I would have said so earlier, maybe not now.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards no.
I was impressed with them until they had that loss to the Jets. No offense.
No, exactly. That's what I mean. That's part of why I have trouble considering the Titans a serious Super Bowl threat. Granted, they played that game with most of their best players out, but then they turned around and demolished the Rams like they did last week. So there is no team in the AFC who is anytime that there's a chance for one team to really put their stamp on it, like they are the team to beat in the AFC, they go out and throw out a dud.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we yelled that there's only 5 teams in the NFC, I'd say the same thing holds. The Cowboys against Denver. I mean, Arizona, they lost to Green Bay, which was a chance for a statement game, but didn't have it.
But they were right there. It's not like the difference with that though is it's not like Arizona went out and got killed. Like they were.
No, it's not. I'm just talking about putting their stamp on. This is our division. This is our conference. It's different than the Bills dud or the Cowboys dud because it was against another really good team, but it still happened. Mm-hmm. Los Angeles against the Titans. I'm starting to believe a little more in the Titans. I think this week they kind of showed that anyone can run the ball for them. They're not going to get the 4 point whatever yards, but they're going to get the 3.8, 3.9, and maybe they're going to still be able to do it with the run game they have. And I don't know why they grabbed Peterson, but the rest of the running backs are working for him.
The Broncos showed that they are actually crap by with how they went and stunk it up against the Eagles today.
Yeah.
I still don't know what to make of Jalen Hurts. Like he's not good, but he's not awful.
Today was one of his nicer games, but I mean he got that incredible first touchdown to Devonta Smith. But to me, that felt like that was all Devonta Smith's catch. He had to come back for it. He had to catch it after it touched the other player's hands, and what am I supposed to do with that as a fan? Trying to figure out who he is.
And the ball, by the way, I just want to point out the ball has been turned over on downs. So at this point,
what's this stat? Cam Newton, first quarterback in the last 30 years to run for a touchdown on his first rush of the season and throw a touchdown on the first pass of the season.
And then as that
first team to allow 45 points 3 times in 4 games.
Go Jets! Yes, Jets!
I told you again. The '60s. It was before our time, but the '60s and '70s Giants were freaking awful.
Yeah. Well, it took the Giants 20-some years before they even got to a Super Bowl. Yeah, so the Jets, who do the Jets have next week? Do you know?
I believe I don't even remember. Doesn't matter.
They got the Dolphins next week. That's winnable.
Yeah, Dolphins. And
the Texans after that. So they got the Dolphins, the Texans, and the Eagles in that order. And then after that, then they have the Saints, and then the Dolphins and the Jags again.
And we have Chad Henne for the Chiefs. Wonder if he even runs a play or if he just takes knees.
Dude, there's 5. They could win conceivably 5 of their next 6. You know,
The Chiefs.
The Jets
your
are
Jets.
Yeah, no. I don't even think they'll beat Miami after how Miami played against Baltimore last week.
By the way, they're kneeing the ball down 1 minute play, under a minute. So they'll knee it down twice more, and that should do it.
Yeah. At least they gave Chad Henne a chance to go onto the field.
That is true. Yeah. But, so, all right. So we'll probably start the sign-off process now, I think, as they're down to 41 seconds left. So any final thoughts from you, gents?
Like I said, this game means that the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl hopes are been resurrected. We all agree there's no powerful super gonna do it team in the AFC, and I think we feel that the best quarterback in the AFC is probably on this team, even if Allen looks better on that thing I sent you guys.
You know, and I was say Jamie Heineman is walking out to the middle of the field, and by Jamie Heineman I mean Andy Reid. Dude looks like a Waller. He looks like Jamie. Dude, tell me Andy Reid does not look like Jamie Heineman from MythBusters.
Yeah, he's a lot bigger than Jamie.
I gotta send you a picture of Unique's dad, who looks just like Andy Reid.
Really?
And he used to have a second job at Wawa, and everybody screwed with him. So you get all the drunk Eagles fans coming home.
Oh God, yeah, but see, Wawa in South Jersey is awesome. It's like a treat. But
Wawa,
anyway,
Wawa on the PA side is like a religion.
Yeah,
it's a religion. I mean, it's a treat for people around here. It's a way of life.
Yeah. Well, see, there's a quick check right around the corner for me, but there's a Wawa across town. So it's like, do I want to spend the 8 minutes driving to Wawa or do the 2 minutes driving to Quick Check?
Oh, a quick what?
Quick Check. Yeah, I know that the lower end Wawa.
A quick what?
Yes.
No, Quick Check isn't a lower end Wawa. That's a 7-Eleven.
Oh well, okay.
No, it's not.
Basically, it's Wawa, Quick Check, and then underneath.
I've been in some Quick Check locations that are better than Wawa's in Jersey. I will say, like in certain parts of Jersey, Quick Check is better.
Well, on this side of town, I got the mess stuff, but it's easy to get to. On the other side of town, I've got like the Chipotle, Boston Market, like the Sarku, the Wawa. All of that stuff is on the other side of town if I'm willing to make the trip. But it's like the pizza place is next door.
The Wawa's presence in North Jersey is still weird to me. Like I'm still getting used to that.
It's not quite there yet. But.
Because how I used to explain to people of the difference of how you can to explain the existence of Central Jersey. Is that Wawa's South Jersey, Quick Check is North Jersey, Central Jersey has both.
Yeah,
but now that Wawa's in North Jersey, that's kind of wiped that out.
Yeah. Now I got Wawa on the brain, but like I said, all the really good stuff is on the other side of town, but it's not worth like the 10-minute one-way drive to go get it. So,
yeah.
Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thank you to you guys coming on. Thank you to everybody else.
Plug.
420, Fanjecture, all the rest of you guys. The dude with the Z avatar, whose name I can't remember. You guys are awesome. Any other final thoughts? Or are we good?
Oh no, one more final thought. Remember, like us, follow us. All that good stuff here on Stream Punk Sports on Twitch. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. The only difference is Twitter doesn't have an S, but we're Stream Punk Sports. Follow us, like us, all that stuff. Leave comments.
And YouTube, which actually had an interesting jump. I'm going to talk to you guys about that later. On Tuesdays, we also have Spangler Sports Den on Good Night Unique. This Tuesday, I'm not sure if we are or not. I got to talk to you guys about it. I'm going to be on set on Tuesday, so I may not be able to get on Tuesday shows, but I'll discuss it with you guys. Also, the possibility of doing it Wednesday instead. But that'll be a tomorrow conversation for you, gents. But for now, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great night. Be groovy.